Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Welcome everybody. Wednesday night. You know what that means. That's for the Mark Order Podcast. Yeah, on the Shadow Wizards Network.
Are you in like a tunnel or something? You're coming through very muffled.
No, as always.
Joe, am I wrong?
No, it happens when he plays the music.
Same as always. Nothing has changed. It's all so Thursday night. Mark Order Podcast. Shadow Wizards Network. Blah, 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 blah. Pretty wise in right now. Yeah, Ryan here. Talk about not coming through. I didn't hear a thing you just said into the microphone.
You didn't hear me say what up, everybody?
No, it must be that same gait that's going on when you
When I
when
clap?
you clap your hands. Your voice is as soft as a clap.
I don't know how to feel about that. I'm gonna be honest.
If there's one thing about Ryan, we know he's the clap.
That's right. And yeah, well, Joe, you just clapped, right? We heard that. Yep.
And when my lights just turned on.
Oh, turn it off. Oh man. Welcome everybody. Good to see you here. Ryan's back. So rejoice or not. It depends on what side of the fence you're on. I don't know.
I think you should rejoice, but
Well, you know, there are people who do rejoice. Then there are people who are like, ugh, Ryan's back. What are we going to do? I don't know. What's up, Joe? What's up, SJ? Hello, Gordon Post. Hello, everybody hanging out in the chat. Mark Kayfabe. Good to see you hanging out. If this is your first time joining us live, welcome. Glad to have you here. Say hi in the chat. Hang out. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight. We're going to kick it off like we always do. Probably 40 minutes of nothing. So strap in and we'll get to wrestling eventually. I'm just kidding. Ryan, you weren't here last week because you were at hockey. Is that true?
it is entirely true.
Now, had you had a choice, would you have rather been here or at hockey?
Hockey.
Really?
Hockey is the best live sport, whether the team is winning or losing.
Even though I don't know if I've ever seen you wear anything Flyers related. I've seen your Phillies hat. I now see a 76er hat. You never talk basketball.
Okay, so the hat was a gift, and it is my best fitting, most comfortable hat, so it gets worn the most. However, if we were to talk teams that I like the most, it goes Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Phillies.
Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Phillies. And I've seen that Phillies hat so much.
Because it's the most comfortable hat. No, I mean, I love them all, so it's not like I don't like the Phillies. But yeah, no, it's because it's the most comfortable hat. But I mean, I only have season tickets to the Flyers. I don't have season tickets to anything else.
SJ is asking, did the Flyers win at least?
I can't remember. I think they did, but I can't remember.
I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But I'm going to...
You're a fan of the Flyers and you don't know if they won?
I know. And he was there.
It was a week ago. All right, guys.
I can tell you, I was at a game over a week ago, and the Devils certainly won.
When you go to fewer, they're easier to remember.
It's not true.
That's entirely true.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think you're just making
'cause-
random assumptions.
No, because you have less memories to sort through.
Okay. Well, Scott George is letting us know that the Flyers lost to an 0-10 team last night. We did talk about that.
Yes, I am aware.
I mean, if it helps you any, Ryan, Mackenzie Blackwood was in net for the Sharks. And I had to deal with Mackenzie Blackwood in New Jersey. And now, last night he was looking great, but he'll be back at the bottom in no time.
I'm going to be honest, didn't help me at all.
Well, sorry. You'll get back there, buddy. You'll get there.
That's what they
How are
say, and then it's not true.
How are the Sixers doing at the very least?
They're 6-1. They just beat the 5-1 Celtics tonight.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good. You got we're trusting the process, even though I feel like I've seen Embiid's name on a lot of rumor lists of they're thinking about getting rid of him, but that should not happen.
They're not thinking about getting rid of him. That's such bullshit.
I don't think you can get rid of him. I think you need to hang on to him as much as you can.
No, that is typical stirring up drama and stuff that people like to do.
Well, do you know anything, Ryan? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Do you know anything about this in-season tournament for basketball? I literally just learned about that.
Yes, it's a complete waste of time. It should not happen.
Isn't the whole season essentially a tournament?
So, a couple things. One, every game but the championship game is part of the regular season. So, if your team does well, they have to play an extra game.
Wow.
Second, there is nothing for winning.
You get that ugly ass trophy, right?
Yes, but as a fan of a team, that means nothing. Third, and I'm sure the players don't care. Third, the whole point is that anyone who's a fan of the NBA always says the season doesn't start till Christmas. And that's kind of been true within the ratings and stuff. Like you get obviously the first week or so, you get a nice boost in the ratings because, people are excited, and then it kind of dies out a little bit. This is the NBA's TV rights are coming up just like wrestling's, and this is their attempt to hype up the early season ratings to get better pay, and it's the stupidest thing that's ever existed.
Now, I mean, a lot of times there's a lot of kickers to contracts where you score a certain amount of points. I mean, I know it works that way in football and stuff like that, right? Or baseball, right? You have a certain batting average, you make it to a certain round of playoffs, you get extra money. They couldn't have known that this was coming. So are these players they're literally not getting paid anything if their team wins a tournament?
Utterly useless. You have to play an extra game. That's all you're awarded with.
I mean, I had no idea. I went out to dinner last Friday with Mrs. Money, and we were sitting at the bar at the restaurant we go to because it's the quickest place to eat. And there's a couple TVs, and I looked up and they said tournament. And I was like, they can't be talking about the finals already. The season just started. And that's when I started looking up this in-season thing. It makes no sense to me. I'm with you, Ryan. This is stupid. And it's only certain games count to the tournament record, right? It's not like your whole season.
Correct.
Joe, does this make any sense to you? It's stupid to me.
No, it doesn't. Especially when we're in an era of NBA basketball with load management. So it's like, why are we putting people through more games?
I mean, ratings, I guess, but I don't know any person who's like, ooh, a tournament where only certain games count during the regular season to your tournament record? That's stupid.
This sounds like some soccer thing. It'd be done over in Europe somewhere in the Premier League or something.
If you think about it, why don't they just do a first half tournament and a second half tournament, and you'd have a first half trophy and a second half trophy, and that's it.
And then you put them together and make one big trophy like Voltron.
Oh, I like that. Or maybe you have the first half tournament winner versus the second half tournament winner for the overall NBA champion. Because then you really need to sort of follow the whole season. See, why aren't we on the payroll, guys? That's all I know. Right? Wouldn't that make more sense?
I have a better idea.
Yes.
So you're saying the season doesn't start till Christmas, and you're very worried about the endurance of your players. Why not shorten the goddamn season?
Well, that'll never happen. But
But
the other
then-
thing too, when you think about that statement, Ryan, because I don't disagree with you. I've heard that time and time again. The season doesn't start till Christmas. That's not even like I think a third into the season. It might barely be a quarter into the season, right? Like the NBA finals go until like July or
Yeah,
August.
Season starts beginning of October, middle of October.
Sure.
And then Christmas. So yeah, a little over 2 months into the season and goes till May, June.
That is such an odd way of looking at it. The season doesn't start until Christmas. It's
Well, they have their big games on Christmas Day.
No, I know. I get it. I'm not arguing that. Like that's when you're trying to get everybody to watch. I mean, it's crazy with all the things that are going on with, I guess, real sports, fake sports, right? Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, that's not real. But even football, I'm not a huge football fan. I don't watch a lot of football. Every once in a while, if I'm home on a Sunday or doing something and it's on, like I'll sort of pay attention, but not really. I had no idea that they played 2 games in London this year. Now this is the second weekend they're going to be in Germany. And then they added a Black Friday game this season. Did you guys know that? I saw a commercial the other day that said the first ever, Friday after Thanksgiving football game. What the fuck are we doing? Don't mess with the formula. I don't know.
They will always mess with the formula until it until they overreach and then have to cut back.
Well, anyway, it's all fake sports anyway. Joe, speaking of fake sports, did Nebraska get into bowl eligibility?
They did not.
Oh, that was I am not trying to
No, you're fine. They lost to our friend Kyle K. Sparks' Michigan State Spartans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Michigan State, you're going to lose to Michigan State after all the shit they've been through?
It was their first conference win.
I'm sorry, Joe. That's terrible.
It's okay. We're used to it.
Well, Michigan State's done a lot of fucking lately, so I get it.
That was my Saturday, though. I mean, Saturday was that day, and I moved on.
Well, I'm glad you've moved on. So Joe, last week we were saying I'm going to be in St. Louis over the weekend.
Yep.
Going to be in Indianapolis on Sunday, because then I'm flying out of Indy Monday. And I was saying right before we went live, we were just looking for anything going on. So I was like, oh, we'll be in St. Louis. But we were not going to stay in St. Louis because we're going to be there Friday. We have a show to go to Saturday. Then we're leaving to go somewhere else Sunday. So we were thinking about where to go. So I said, well, maybe we can stay in St. Louis. Maybe I didn't even check the Blues. No, I think we did check the St. Louis Blues. I don't believe they're in town. So I said, okay, how about Kansas City? Maybe the Chiefs are in town. Chiefs are off this week, bye week. So I said, okay, how about Indianapolis? Maybe the Colts are in town. Colts are not in town. So we said, how about Nashville? What about the Titans? Now, I don't even know how close that is to Nashville, but I just said, oh, Tennessee, the Titans. Nope, no Titans. No Predators. So there is no opportunity. And I even checked the Pacers in Indianapolis. It hit me today. I said, oh, the Pacers. Nobody is in the Midwest region that I'm going to be in this weekend. So no chance. I just wanted to, like, I don't even necessarily care. Like, if the Chiefs or the Titans or somebody or the Colts were going to be in town, I would have spent money on the tickets just to see the stadium, to have the experience. Nope. Same thing with the hockey or the basketball. Nope. So we're just gonna be hanging out in Indianapolis doing something.
What about Chicago? Was nothing going on in Chicago?
It's just a far drive from St. Louis. Like, we didn't want to spend that much time in the car in one day. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to going to Indy only because I've never been to Indy, and I'm like, we could check it off the list. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Guys, it was a very exciting day for me. I don't mean to brag. It was a very exciting day for me. Well, yesterday was very exciting. I went to see Tool. That was fun. I was not stoned at all though. So it was weird. I felt like maybe I was the only sober person in the building, but I was still very pleased with the performance. That was fun. Woke up today exhausted because the drive from the concert venue to our house was an hour and a half. I think they ended at 11:15. We grabbed something to eat before we left the town, and then we came back. I got home probably around like 1 o'clock. Maybe actually, it might have been closer to 2 o'clock now that I'm doing some of the math, because we had to get out of the garage, all that stuff, whatever. I was exhausted this morning. And then I remembered that today we had the teaser trailer released for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And might I say, gentlemen, I'm very excited. Very excited. Ryan, you look confused. What's going on, buddy?
I did not know that came out today.
Ryan, are you kidding me?
You're gonna go watch it now.
Watching it. Look, I'm even representing. Look, I'm wearing my gear. I was very excited for it today. I got the chain going too. I don't know, Joe, if you're into the franchise at all, but I definitely
Yeah, I watched it. I watched the trailer.
Well, I thought it was fantastic.
It reminds me of the like the trailer where all the frozen death comes and wipes off the coast. It reminds me of a lot of The Day After Tomorrow, that whole storyline of this storm that creates this ice age and kills people and makes them freeze to death.
Yeah. Yes. It did.
With a little bit of like Game of Thrones, like White Walker-ish going on.
Not gonna lie to you, never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, so that reference is lost on me, Joe, but I'll take your word for it. I just forgot though, because it's been so long since I've heard anything about the movie. Like, I'm not looking for it, and I know it got pushed because of all the strikes and stuff. I forgot Patton Oswalt was in that movie. I forgot Kumail was announced to be in that movie. And I was very excited to see Paul Rudd and some of the other adults donning jumpsuits and proton packs. And I honestly didn't know that all of the elder members were going to be appearing. Like, I had heard they were going to be involved in some fashion, but to see them in the trailer was very nice. So
and I forgot about this camera angle that Ryan has going on right now. This like Mr. Wilson from Home Improvement look.
Yeah, it's creepy. I feel like his glasses are also fogging up right now. I wasn't going to talk about it because I just like to let it sit there. No. I just like to let it sit there.
Just marinate.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, you're on mute. You're talking. I don't know what you're saying. You're still muted. There you go.
I was enjoying a trailer. Okay.
You could tell by your foggy up glasses.
You're all fogged
I got
up.
close, so I could see. I wasn't fogged up at all. I got close so I could see, and it was delightful.
And Ryan and Joe, that's just a teaser. So when a full trailer hits, I don't know what else they're going to show. I kind of don't want to see a longer trailer. Like, that's all I kind of want to see. But I'll have to watch the trailer when it comes out.
So as we all know, I'm the biggest Ghostbusters fan here by
Clearly.
far.
Yep.
There's no one bigger.
Not
So
at
I
all.
think I'm the voice on this.
Sure.
I heard a little bit of you guys talking as I was watching the trailer.
Mhm.
I love that the originals are in this.
Did you
And, like,
you saw Afterlife, right, Ryan?
oh, I loved Afterlife.
It was
But
great. Okay.
but they could have easily just let that, like, after that been like, all right, here you go.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah.
What's interesting is I don't know if they're actually going to use it or not. There's that game, Ghostbusters Unleashed or
Unleashed.
something,
Yep.
and that plot is supposed to take place after Afterlife.
Yes. But
But that would involve bringing a new Ghostbuster in, and I don't know if they're going to do that.
well, Ryan, Joe, you both saw the trailer. I have a question for you. There is a young gentleman, at one point in the middle of the trailer who I don't recognize. He's in like the red coat, the same one at the end of the trailer that Paul Rudd and McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard are all wearing, but he's like in the middle of the trailer while they're sort of splice cutting in like appearances by everybody. I don't recognize who it is. I thought maybe it was the podcast kid, but it didn't look like him. So
Well,
I
he
don't know.
looks different now anyway, so it could have been him.
Maybe it was, but if it's not, then that looks like it's somebody new.
Hold on, I have it up again.
And
I'm
I'll
gonna-
say this, I would love one of those red jackets for the winter.
Well,
Get
so the podcast kid is wearing multicolored shirt, like a shirt.
Yep.
Kumail,
Yep.
Dan
It's
Aykroyd.
a little further, it's sort of right around there, yeah. So,
I'm gonna pause it as soon as I see it.
I tried to do the same thing before. I was watching it on my
Oh,
TV.
you're right. No idea who that is.
That's a different kid, right?
I don't even know if he's a kid. He might be a little I mean, he's young, but he's not. He
Right.
might be a little older.
Different person,
Yeah.
let's say that.
Yeah. So he might be the Ghostbuster that they bring in from Ghostbusters Unleashed, which would be cool.
That would be cool. The game's also a lot of fun. I haven't played it nearly as much as I should, but it's a lot of fun.
You know what
Either
was
way.
actually a great Ghostbusters game?
What?
The one that they made for, like, Xbox 360.
The one that they made for Xbox 360. I don't
It
have
was
an
it was a really and it had a really good story, like, it was
Oh, it
one
was just Ghostbusters the video game.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a good game. I had it for PlayStation and at the time a regular Wii.
Yeah, and it had a good story to it.
It did. That's because I think they wrote it.
They did. It's a shame that I will always say the worst thing is that because, what's his name? Bill Murray and Harold Ramis didn't get along. They could never do a real Ghostbusters sequel.
Yeah, that's really that's the closest thing we'd get to an original, sort of third film because they were all part of it. But yeah, you're right, Ryan. That sucked. And then, the word is that they buried the hatchet before he died, but obviously they couldn't do anything at that point. He was sick. But guys,
But you know what?
I'm looking forward to this movie so much. Like, I cannot wait for this movie to come out.
What's really a shame is that the big bad villain doesn't make anyone do a dance routine in the climax of the movie.
You don't know that for sure.
You never know.
I mean, granted, maybe they will steal that from the all females Ghostbusters, but
I was actually just going to ask you, Ryan, was that from the Paul Feig?
yes.
I'm going to tell you this in all honesty. I saw the movie once. I did it because Mrs. Money's niece, who was much younger at the time, she was staying over at our house. She came to visit and she said, I want to go see it and I want to go with you because she knows how much I like Ghostbusters. And I told G, this is the only way I'd see it because I really have no desire to see it. Not because of, the fact that it's all female. I just, honestly, I don't like Kristen Wiig. I don't like Kristen McCarthy. I just didn't like a lot of the people in the cast. So I was like, I don't really need to see this. I don't remember anything from that movie. Like I couldn't tell you like who a bad guy was or why anything was happening. Um
It was bad.
I can't
It was
even remember any of the gags, to be
Well, the
honest. Like I
problem
know
is it was slapstick, which is not what Ghostbusters are.
correct. You're right.
And I mean, the original Ghostbusters, I don't need to tell you guys, but for a listener or who doesn't know, each guy had a different characteristic. You know, each one had a little
Mhm.
bit different of a personality. Whereas in the all female one, they were all the silly one.
Yeah. Well, you know, they had different personalities, but they were all like that same type of humor, right? So it's like, yeah, you had the one who was the scientist, right? But she made the same types of quips as the person who was like, you know, I don't know, the working man, right? So it's
That's what I
like
meant. Like
it didn't
they all
work. Yeah,
danced, they all acted goofy, they all were weird. Whereas like in the original, like Ray was the goofy one. Egon was like the nerd who you were kind of like, what's going on? Peter was the sarcastic dick, and Ernie was the everyman who was like, what the hell is going on? I'm just here to get paid.
right. There's a steady paycheck in it. I'll believe anything. So, yeah, I mean, uh, I'm just glad too, Ryan, that at one point there was a lot of talk of crossing over these universes, which obviously because of multiverse and all that stuff, like I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, but it doesn't look like they're ever going to go that way.
And if there's one thing we've learned from the Ghostbusters is you never cross streams.
You can't.
No.
Good call, Joe.
No. Total protonic reversal. Not good. Well, gentlemen, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Actually made me think, and I'll be my last point, that
Sure.
people said, I forget, this isn't my original thought. This is from some podcast or something I listened to that said, if you want to tell the difference between the movies, in Ghostbusters, when they turn on the proton pack for the first time, it makes this loud sound. Everybody kind of takes a step back, and it's viewed as like, oh, you have a nuclear reactor on your back. Like, this is very dangerous.
Right.
In Ghostbusters Women, when she turns on the pack, she gets shot around an alley like a silly little goose.
Yeah. It's very slapstick.
Yeah, it's a caricature of the original movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also it's hard to when you have a movie that so many people liked. I mean, maybe not, but I feel like Ghostbusters is a movie you say the name and people are like, "Yep, seen it. It's pretty good." Like I don't know if I necessarily know anybody who's like, "I hate it. Can't stand it." But um it's hard when there's so much iconic shit around it. Like, you know, you see one of the flight suits, you know what it is, right? You see the car, you know what it is. The pack, the trap, the goggles, you know all where that's from. You don't need to see anything else. The one the reboot, you know, um the all female one, it's just really tough when you're changing all that stuff to like to me that's really tough. Like, okay, we're changing the flight suits. Cool, but you're putting like reflective tape on it. It's like to me that looks corny as shit. You're changing the proton pack. Why? The original one was so cool looking. Looked like shit. I just didn't understand why they were changing so much. And I get it. You're trying to modernize it, sure. But like, you really don't need to. That shit looked cool. I don't know. You know, guys,
They would have been better off just letting it be a sequel and saying like these are the four daughters of the Ghostbusters and they're taking over.
or just literally tell the story. Just use the same fucking props, man. Just use the same props. I had an argument when that movie came out. The fact that it did so poorly was because they made such a huge deal out of it when they announced it. It was such a huge deal that they announced it's going to be all female. Like if they had just not said that and then just cast the movie, it probably would have gone under the radar and like nobody would have thought like, hey, this is a complete role reversal. But like, I feel like because they did, so many people who were like, Ghostbusters aren't women, like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like it really riled a lot of feathers, but I don't know. I will say I like Patton Oswalt in the new movie. I think there's a lot of potential there. I don't know what his character is. He could just be one and done in this movie. I've really liked Paul Rudd. You know, somebody I said a while ago, if they were thinking about pulling new people in, let me throw this one on you guys. Now it's a little different, but years ago, I said Kevin Smith. I feel like Kevin Smith could have fit in to the group. Like, I don't remember what he was in, some other movie, maybe one of the Die Hards that wasn't so good, like, you know,
He was
Die
Die
Hard,
Hard.
Live Another Day or
I
something.
think it was 4.
Who knows? But he was some sort of like hacker, whatever. You know, seemed to play that role okay. I was like, he could have been a scientist. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been one of the scientists in the group. I always maintain that could have been the one that got away. But I'm very excited about this movie.
Silent Bob.
Yes, just Silent Bob. Not
Jay.
even Kevin Smith.
No, give him Jay. Let the two of them be the Ghostbusters.
Nothing would get done. Nothing would get done.
No.
Well, gentlemen, it's been about 30 minutes of bullshitting. So why don't we talk about some things going on in AEW? So we normally talk a little bit of Rampage, a little bit of Collision. We'll touch on it. But we have to talk about the news that set the fucking world on fire, because we would be remiss not to lead with it. Because we were all here when the special gift for Sting was announced as Ric Flair. So it was weird that another man was a gift for a man. And basically one geriatric for another. So last week, it was announced that Nature Boy Ric Flair was signed to a multi-year deal. And that they also have a partnership to be the exclusive energy drink of AEW with Woo Energy. Because when you think energy drinks, you think of somebody who's almost died like 8 times outside of the ring. So obviously, you guys are paying attention to everything that's going on out there. So when the news was announced, everybody melted down all over the internet and basically was like, fuck this, I quit. So I figured we should probably discuss it or we wouldn't be doing our job. So Ryan, we didn't really talk anything about Ric Flair last week because there was no need to at the time. Like, this wasn't news at the time that we had done our show. So we couldn't talk about it sort of as it was breaking. Ryan, I would love your take as to Ric Flair being signed for multi-years. Now, not part of the press conference is that it's being reported in certain outlets that he has been cleared. Ric Flair has been cleared so that if he needs to take a bump, he can take a bump. But what's your take on this, Ryan? How do you feel about Ric Flair being in AEW officially for multiple years?
If this, I mean, it's stupid. This is literally seeing someone swing a bat and walking in front of it and being like, hey, let me get hit by the bat. It's an unforced error. Listen, if this is it kind of sounds like their version of a Legends deal where, like, I don't think you're going to see him in the ring. I don't think you're going to see him on TV a lot. I think they want his merchandising rights. I think they'll use him for extracurriculars, but I don't think you'll see him on TV a lot. I could just be wishful thinking. I mean, he does. Listen, ignoring, and it's a big ignore, but ignoring the out of the ring issues for a second, he offers nothing in the ring. He can't wrestle. He can't even talk, really. Like, there is zero benefit to him anymore. It's, Jake the Snake can still talk when you put a mic in front of him. Arn could still talk when you put a mic in front of him. Ric Flair sounds like his teeth are always just at risk for falling out of his mouth. Like, there's nothing there. And then you get into the issues out of the ring. And by the way, and if Kate were here, I'm sure she'd go off. But she makes a very valid point. These aren't accusations. These are things he has confessed to multiple times. He's told these stories as very humorous to him multiple times. So this isn't like we're making these things up. It just seems like why? Now I get it. Apparently, he's basically free. His energy drink essentially covers his contract.
Yep, that's right.
So if you use him for merchandising, uh, there's that's just a financial windfall. I'm seeing Joe Walsh in the chat ask for his any link to alleged misbehaving. So there's the Dark Side of the Ring episode, Joe, on the plane ride from hell in the WWE. You can watch that. The stories he told, I don't know which podcasts are on anymore, so I couldn't tell you that. I know there was one of those animated WWE shows on the network where he told the story, but that's since been removed.
Yep.
So you can't find that anymore. But I would go to the Dark Side of the Ring because that's where that's the one. But so like I don't get it. There's to me, I mean, merchandising. So I guess I get it from a strictly financial, like, hey, we sell some Woo t-shirts and put them in a video game, it might help us. But other than that, like he offers nothing. He legitimately offers nothing. And all he's done is piss people off. So you're getting a net negative, in my opinion, because you've pissed your fans off.
So I hear everything you're saying, Ryan. I don't disagree with you. He can't do anything in the ring. He can't just go off script and just talk off the top of his head. That's not possible. But I think where the value is, like you said, is in merchandising, right? And his rights and selling some Ric Flair t-shirts because people will buy them. I think maybe too, you say he's going to be at the, Double or Nothing Fan Fest, right? For pictures and autographs or whatever. I think people will come out and get something with him. I think too, the other thing though, is that the fan base of AEW is older at this point, right? So, maybe the thought is that some of the fan base will be the people who remember him as opposed to the WWE where it's a lot younger, right? So I'm just thinking. Now, do I like it? No. But I would like to know what Joe thinks before I start to talk as well.
I think we can agree universally that the majority of probably don't like this. I'm among those. I'm not a fan of the long term deal. If they want to have like a one off appearance or whatever, fine. But to say it's a multi year, like two-year deal or whatever it is, all for whether it's a cash grab to capitalize off his name and likeness, or if it's Tony Khan wanting to collect them all, like all Pokemons, and just like grabbing all these superstars and wrestlers that he grew up watching and idolizing and having them on his roster. I don't know. Yeah, he'll long for the ride with Sting, whatever that means. So he'll show up for his last match, I guess. I guess he could finally do something with Andrade after the Sting thing's over with. They could maybe do something with him there, like they wanted to originally. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, Flair to me is just like the equivalent of a professor emeritus, where he's just like a figurehead of a bygone era.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever need to see Flair. Like, if we're being honest, right? His best days are behind him. He can't wrestle, so I don't want to see him wrestle. So, Sting and Ric Flair is not something I want to see. I don't even want to see Andrade and Flair versus Sting and Darby, right? Like, when you think about that'll never happen. Well, my friends, winter is coming, right? So, like, just hold on to your fucking pants, because if there was ever a place to fit it in, that's like the only place I could expect them to fit it in. So I am just holding my breath until they start to get closer to announcing things for that show and hoping that doesn't happen. I have not heard or seen anything that makes me think it's going to happen, but never say never, right? That's the business. So, yeah, I think we're universally on this is sort of like unnecessary, don't necessarily need it. If we're going to be honest, this probably should have been the big announcement as opposed to get tickets to an event, or I'm sorry, not get tickets. Here's when tickets go on sale. Sign up for the pre-sale to an event we already knew was scheduled. and when. But I digress on that. We talked about that last week. You can go back and hear me and Joe talk about it. But here's the question that I think I want to pose to this group if it comes back to me here in 2 seconds as I'm vamping. And it's gone. Well, all I can say is I just don't think. Oh, I know the question. Sorry. Did this cause you guys to melt down like so many other goddamn people I saw on social when they announced this news? Like, that was the part to me that seemed like crazy. Like the amount of
Mel-
people who just melted down and it ruined their fucking week.
Have they not
Flair
watched
thing or
pro
the ticket
wrestling?
I hear you, Joe. Ryan, what did you say?
Right.
The Flair thing or the ticket thing?
The Flair thing, not the ticket thing.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very fair. It didn't ruin my week, but I will be quite honest. Very few things that aren't literally in my life will cause me to have even a bad day because I just, what's the point? So unless you're like a friend or family, it's very difficult for you to ruin me. But to be fair to a lot of the people losing their mind, especially for the women out there, I think for them it was just like, what the fuck? This company that had their owner taking shots at Vince McMahon and saying all these things, even they are now hiring a scumbag. Like, what the fuck's going? Like, I can just see as being another blow, being like, what the fuck? Like, come on, you can't just, especially because again, this was a self-inflicted wound. So
Sure.
I can understand feeling. I think it's sometimes, and again, I don't want to speak for anybody. I think sometimes being let down leads to a lot of anger. And they just felt let down. Like, this company's made a lot of mistakes and they don't always hire great people and they don't always do great things, but they hadn't made this one before. And
Right.
it made them different. And then they did it. And then suddenly they weren't even different.
Right. It's just really weird to see the uproar about this. But so many people seem to also forget that the man who used corporate money to pay hush money to victims of whatever in their past at the other company exited and then also came back and is still back, maybe not in any crazy capacity, but they're still there, right? And people move on. They fucking forget, right? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but I honestly don't think the majority of people out there it's a well, he's out there telling stories about how he exposed himself and did this or that. Like I truly think most of it was sort of like wrestling related. Like, you're going to talk shit on the other people and then you're going to go sort of do the same thing. Yeah, but carnies are kind of carny, right? Like that's the business. Everybody says I'm not going to do it and you fucking do it. Edge said I'm never going to fight Christian. He's fighting Christian this fucking weekend. That was 2 weeks.
Can I pose a question for you, a hypothetical?
Please do.
So, based on all the fervor of the Flair signing, would it have been as bad or worse if it would have been Hogan?
Well, Joe, is that a real question? Because there are also rumors floating out there that they're working on the possibility of bringing Hogan through.
Those rumors feel more like people saying, well, now that Flair's here, Hogan's likely to come. That's what that has felt like to me.
I saw Hogan rumors before this was announced.
Well, yeah, because there's always Hogan rumors because fucking Hogan.
I mean,
lies and-
Hogan almost played bass for Metallica. So,
Yeah.
anything-
Hogan personally knocked down the Berlin Wall. I mean,
I seen it.
yeah.
I mean, to answer your question, Joe, to be honest, I don't know. I honestly don't know because when you, I think to most people who are maybe, I'll say just our age, right? I think depending on where you're from, Hogan's your guy or Flair's your guy or Sting's your guy, right? Like you got different guys. And so if it's your guy, you're clearly not going to be as upset as if it's somebody else. And I think there are a lot of Hogan guys because he was the guy in all of wrestling, any company in the 80s, right? I mean, there are clearly, different feelings now about Hogan after everything that's gone on with Hogan over the years and all the, the shit that's come out about how he's conducted himself, after, during his career, now that he's been out of the business for however long. But, I don't know. I just feel like if it was Hogan, maybe there wouldn't be as much uproar because Hogan was the bigger name. Hogan was the bigger star. Now, Ryan, you're shaking your head.
I think Hogan's would be worse.
Worse than Flair.
Yeah. I think it comes down to, listen, Flair has told the stories. The flight attendant has told a story, but it's all just been retellings. I think Hogan's caught on video thing will forever sit more firmly in people's minds because there's no contextual switching you can do there. Because even with the Flair thing, obviously I don't agree with it, but you can, if you're a Flair defender, you can at least make the argument in your brain that he saw it differently. There's just that argument doesn't exist with Hogan because it's on tape, like you saw it. And I also think
You know what I
Hogan's,
missed? Sorry.
I should say Hogan's
Sorry, go ahead.
reputation had been falling even before shit had gone bad because he was such a liar, because he had done all this stuff. Flair hadn't really dropped off reputationally until this stuff came out. So I also think there's that. Like people just dislike Hogan more.
How about this one? This one comes up in the chat from our buddy Kyle K. Sparks. Lex Luger. He supposedly cleaned up his act, but had years of rampant drug use, allegedly beat up Miss Elizabeth, etc. Killed her, basically. Would that have been better? I added killed her, by the way, not Kyle. Would that have been better? Kyle doesn't think so.
Well, WWE already put him on the bump.
Well, that's I had no idea about that because I just don't watch the product.
Just recently. But no, I was going to say, I missed the days that our worst concern was if AEW were going to sign Goldberg.
Well, I mean, that's another one that's not out of the realm of possibility.
I don't know about the Luger stuff. Like, I don't think it'd be better because, again, Luger might have led to the death of someone. But I think one thing that holds everyone up with Flair, and it is different than Luger, is that Luger seems very repentant for what he did in the past. Flair still thinks it's hilarious. So I think that also matters to people, that like you can't even see after hearing that this wasn't okay. You can't even go back and say, listen, I'm sorry, I saw things differently. We're not saying obviously you can't change the past, but to not even acknowledge that maybe you were wrong, I think that rubs people the wrong way too. Just like,
yeah,
again, but my argument, and I'm going to say is like Joe Walsh, someone in the chat said he's way better than any other legend on the AEW roster. Flair in '85, sure. Flair in 2023, absolutely not. Sting is way better. Edge is better. I would say Paul White is better. I'd say Jake the Snake is better. I'd say Arn is better in 2023. Flair can't wrestle and he can't talk. He provides nothing in a wrestling capacity.
It's literally just a name to put on your page. That's all it is. And he's yours and the other people can't use him, right? Yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't, all I'm going to say is this. It doesn't affect me, not because I don't have a soul and that I don't know about his, prior, his prior problems. Same thing with Hogan. Same thing with Luger. But, It's unless they're doing something, I think, to sort of make that okay. I don't know if it's going to be a problem. You know what I like? I don't know if it's gonna ruin my fucking life. Like I saw this ruining some other people's lives. Like unbelievable the amount of shit I saw coming through social feeds. I basically deleted the fucking apps off my phone. I was like, this is stupid. But I understand why it ruined people's days. Just fucking turn it off. Just turn it off and let it be. Go find something else. You know, that's just the thing I don't understand anymore. Is it's fine. You don't like it, fucking turn it off. Stop supporting the product until something changes, and that's it. I just don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I'm a boomer, but just fucking turn it off, man.
Yeah, I mean, and if they do, then they're gonna have learned a very bad lesson. You know,
Well, he's here, but we haven't seen him since he was Sting's gift. So we'll see what happens. I will say this though. I can't wait till I go to my next AEW live event and I get a nice, cool, woo energy drink. So I can feel what it's like to be a geriatric man who's drunk on power.
it'll be nice knowing you.
Why? You don't drink a woo energy drink?
I do not trust the Woo energy drink.
Why? Maybe it'll really get your heart pumping. Then you'll gotta kick out,
mean,
brother.
all I'm saying is that if someone drank Woo on their pay-per-view, they wouldn't. Their deal with the CW would probably fall apart. That's a cocaine joke for everyone who doesn't understand what happened with NWA.
I get it. But there's a lot of other shit that's going on around that. We could talk about that later, but there's a lot of other shit around that I heard now that they're actually the deal wasn't done, and he started talking about it, and then the cocaine thing didn't help. So
Yeah,
they
it from what I gather, exactly that. Didn't have it, but was close.
so he
Decided
decided to talk about it. Yeah, stupid.
and then had his wrestler, per his idea, per Billy Corgan's idea, had his wrestler do cocaine or, manager do cocaine on a pay-per-view because, and I quote, he didn't think the CW was watching the pay-per-views.
I heard it wasn't so much CW watching the pay-per-view, but the amount of people who reached out to the CW and said, they won't support this if this is what you're going to put on TV.
Such an unnecessary spot.
Crazy. Just a couple things here, because there's a lot of stuff in the chat. Kyle K. Sparks says, doing research, Ryan, Luger became born again in 2006 or so. He seems to be genuinely repentant, and as far as I'm aware, he's been clean since. Yeah, I've heard the same things about being clean. But also I would never sign fucking Luger. I don't think the guy can walk anymore. It's gonna be a bummer.
Oh yeah, no, he's not someone you bring around, but I get the example because he does have a very, very dark past.
Joe Walsh clarifying his point. Believe me when I say this, rape and exposure is bad, but if running a company, I choose Flair before Matt Hardy and any other legend in AEW.
Not in 2023.
Well, Matt Hardy's been arrested quite a few times.
100%, but also arrested for different things. But again, 2023, because Matt Hardy can't wrestle, I agree with that, but he can still talk at least. It's just what can you offer me actually in capacity? And I just don't think Flair has the ability to offer anything besides merchandise.
And a few things from Kyle K. Sparks to wrap this up. From Sting's perspective, Flair still beats the last time he got a gift that turned out to be a person, as it was Abdullah the Butcher. So that is an upgrade. Also, Kyle K. Sparks does confirm he cannot. He's talking about Luger. Around 2001, he's been entirely dependent on a wheelchair for mobility. So from that perspective, who's the better signing, Flair or Lex Luger? At least Flair can walk. Oh, that sounds terrible. I shouldn't put that on tape.
No, I mean he can barely walk.
I mean, you're right with that too.
Yeah, I mean I'm really afraid he's gonna like fall, not even getting in the ring, just stepping out of the back.
Hey, Adam Cole did it. He hurt himself coming out of the back. We saw it. He jumped off that ramp at Grand Slam, and we all went, "Oh no!" So stupid. Well, anyway, folks, that's been our Ric Flair discussion for the night. We're gonna just quickly. I'm gonna give results for Rampage and Collision. Maybe a couple things on Collision. Rampage Penta defeated El Hijo del Vikingo and Commander. That match was crazy. The Guns defeated Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels. Sky Blue defeated Marina Shafir. And then Daniel Garcia defeated Trent Beretta and called out MJF to set up the match for tonight. Anybody want to mention anything about the matches on the card Friday?
They were fun.
I don't disagree. See, Joe, I told you we were missing something last week. That was it. It was fun.
That is Rampage in a nutshell. Rampage is not gonna advance many of the stories, but it's a fun hour of wrestling anymore. I think the last several months of Rampage have just been fun. They're not, again, you're not gonna, it's not something I'm gonna say that if you missed, you have to watch. But if you watch it, you will enjoy yourself, which honestly, for an hour 10 on a Friday, not a bad thing to be.
Even if you DVR it or watch it, stream it the next day on a Sunday morning, before football or some shit like that, it's perfectly easy to zip through. But I will say this, you should check out, if you didn't check it out, I would say the match to check out is the Penta, Vikingo, and Commander. That match fucking ruled.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you like luchador wrestling, that was luchador wrestling at its finest.
Its finest. It was fucking fantastic. And then Collision, running down Collision, Swerve Strickland defeated AR Fox via pinfall. After the match, there was some gang warfare with LFI and everything. House of Black was watching from the stands. Zipping ahead here, Roddy, blah, 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 Mark Briscoe, Darby Allin, and Lance Archer. Darby defeated Lance Archer via pinfall. And then after the match, it was sort of announced that Jake Roberts has welcomed the Righteous into his fold. Now, I will pose this here to you guys now. I don't understand why sort of the Righteous would need Jake Roberts, or if this is just for this match coming, Saturday. Because the Righteous has a leader, right? So they don't need a mouthpiece.
Where's Stu?
It's a great question. Don't know.
I don't hate that pairing though. I mean, it reminds me of like Jake's character from like the '90s when he was having the feud with the Warrior. He was very like sadistic, ritual, spiritual, evil Jake Roberts. So it kind of fit with the Righteous gimmick now.
No, listen, I don't dislike the pairing because to me the fit makes sense. But to me, what doesn't make sense is you have like a de facto leader of that faction, and it's Vincent, and he's like the quintessential cult leader, right? He's like charismatic and he's got his people believe in what he's saying. So I just don't like, to me, I was just like, do they need Jake Roberts? Is this a long-term thing or just for like 1 week? I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But either way, that's coming up this weekend. Blah, blah, blah. The Acclaimed had their celebration. Dalton Castle and the Boys interrupted, so we had the Acclaimed versus Dalton Castle and the Boys, and the Acclaimed defeated Dalton Castle and the Boys. Disrespectful. Did you guys also see, by the way, Joe, we didn't talk about this because it slipped my mind, post Halloween there. But did you see on Halloween Heidi Klum and some boys dressed up as a peacock? I call that gimmick infringement.
Wow.
If I was Dalton Castle, I'd fucking sue. Let's see. We had an Andrade interview. Mark Briscoe, Dustin Rhodes, and Keith Lee defeated Kip Sabian and the Workhorsemen via pinfall. Willow Nightingale defeated Emi Sakura. Samoa Joe interview, and then main event we had Ricky Starks and Big Bill with the Gates of Agony versus LFI and FTR. During the match, I'm sorry. FTR tried to shake hands with LFI after the match. They bailed. Sorry, the faces won, by the way. LFI and FTR. I left that part out. FTR tried to shake hands with LFI, but they sort of bailed. FTR were left in the ring, so House of Black got a promo on the screen. Then Claudio came out. I don't know, whole bunch of bullshit with all these fucking stories intersecting. Not bullshit, because it was good stuff. I watched the show, actually, but I'm just trying to get through this quickly. What I will say is this, at the very least, about Collision. They make it its own show. There is talent you can only see on Collision, so it's a pretty good brand split, if you ask me. The only problem is the fact that it's on Saturday night. It's not catching a lot of viewers. I think more people need to check out Collision, because I think Collision's been pretty good. I don't know if you guys thought that this was a good episode. I thought there was a lot of good story stuff, and some of the stuff we got in the ring was pretty good.
I didn't see it.
I like Collision. I got to watch a local tag team get squashed by the Kingdom. So they're the tag team champs up in here in Omaha. So,
all right, well, we'll take it. But what we're gonna do, because we've been going for about an hour, we are going to take a break here, and we are going to come back and talk about Dynamite, some other news and notes beyond what's going on with Ric Flair and AEW. So why don't you stay tuned? We're going to grab some additional beverages, stretch our legs, pee, who knows? We will be right back after some words from the other fine shows that are part of the Shining Wizards Network.
Thank each and every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to The Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is The Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the Squared Circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's TheBrokast, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
You like your music heavy? Then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is Radioactive Metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway.
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
or playing in punk bands,
or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums,
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
Because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at MarkOrderPod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rowe.
I'm Al Day.
And we're a couple of down under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves. And when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs, I'm talking Jacks, I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Your Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Your Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast from two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport. All right. And who better to talk about a man's sport than Duke? Oklahoma.
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Whoa, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the You're a Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit. Slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
All right, we're back here on the Mark Order podcast, also part of the Shining Wizards Network. Kate's here.
Finally, you guys let me on. I've been backstage the entire time.
Yeah, okay.
What's up, fellas? I'm going to bring my ring light closer. I'm so dark. How we doing? Any of you guys want to be ROH TV title champion?
I already called dibs.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
But Ryan, yes, has dibbed it internally. So nothing to discuss. But before we move on to Dynamite, let's take care of a little bit of business. Please follow us on our socials at Mark Order Pod, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all over the place at Mark Order Pod. And when you're there, you can head over to our Pro Wrestling Tee store by clicking the link in our link tree, which is in our profile. So once you click that link, you'll head over to our Pro Wrestling Tee store. You can also get there by going to prowrestlingtees.com/markorderpod. Or you can even just search Pro Wrestling Tees for the Mark Order podcast. We'll pop right up. And then any of these 4 shirts that you order will help support us. So if you can, please order a t-shirt. We greatly appreciate it.
We'll help support who, Ant?
I don't know. Are we still running that? No, we're not running that gimmick anymore, Kate. It hasn't been working. So we said, if you buy a t-shirt, you're actually supporting you're
Straight
not
white males?
supporting women. Yes.
Yeah. No, support
males.
straight white males. They really need your help
Need it.
right now. Yeah.
We need it.
It's true.
It's tough.
The men in tights.
If you look at the election results at a lot of places yesterday, we need it, right? So
yeah. No, of course.
You know.
Is that why they signed? That why they signed Ric Flair?
That must be because we need that. We really need it. So beyond that, we are pushing the YouTube channel. So please head over to our YouTube and please subscribe. We are trying to get to that 500 mark. It helps us out greatly and will give us additional ways that you can support us.
And
yes,
if you're the 500th subscriber, there's a lucky something in store for you. I'm not going to announce what it is on air yet. Because I definitely didn't just make it up right now, but we'll reveal it on a later show.
It's okay, Kate. We've already announced it over the past.
I'm not going on a date with no one.
Well, that's what we've agreed to. Ryan,
one key person has not agreed to that stipulation,
no.
sir.
Ryan and myself and Joe decided it was the best idea. And you signed off on it. You might not have noticed that you signed off. Yeah, it was that paperwork that we sent you that you clearly didn't read. So it's legally binding. Your digital signature and verbal sign off was all we needed. So
I don't remember giving you that.
I mean, I don't believe that will hold up in a court of law. So you can try, but you know, and it's all expenses paid too. Wherever you're from.
Like thinking like a shirt, maybe a phone call from Ant.
It could be a shirt that I went on a date with Kate.
No, I wasn't like thinking so much about prostituting myself out like some floozy. I was thinking more along the lines of.
Don't worry, we did it for you.
Merch.
Whoa.
Merch
we didn't say anything about prostitution because we are not in a state that has legal prostitution. So that's off the table. What happens in Vegas, though, stays in Vegas. So that's up to you, wherever you're holding your date.
I'm not going, guys. We're not going to Vegas for a blind date.
Well, you're paying for it, so.
Why am I paying for it? This is ridiculous.
It's what you agreed to.
Can you put your hand up so we can discuss this off air,
Yep.
please?
Oh, wrong way. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, what are you? We never talked about this. We've never discussed
this. We talked about it at Grand Slam, and we talked
about this at Grand Slam. I was there the whole
Well,
time.
can we have our own conversation?
We talked about it. Okay, go with it. Well, that's not my problem, and legally, it's binding.
Ric
Okay.
Flair bullshit.
Hey, it's not bullshit. Okay, we need
500 lucky subscribers to the Mark Order podcast.
number 500. Win a date with Kate. It rolled.
Wait, hold on. Hold
So,
on. If you have
moving on.
horses, I'm going to need you to hold on to them. And
I don't have a horse actually.
don't?
No,
Oh,
I have a
that's weird.
small dog, not a horse. But I will say, that reminds me, did see 2 mini horses walking around downtown this weekend.
Unsupervised?
No, supervised. It was
Okay.
weird. We're eating breakfast in the local cafe, a great place. And all of a sudden, we look out the window and there are 2 mini horses being led around outside. Apparently, somebody who was running for mayor, who was a write-in candidate, this was part of their sort of stumping over the last few days. I'll say this, it worked because every single fucking kid and their parents went outside and she handed everybody her shit. Now, I don't think she won, so it didn't work, but it was a good idea.
It's not the tactic's fault. It was a great tactic.
Great idea.
Love that.
Great idea. Doesn't help that people have to write your name in.
No, not great.
No.
That part's not great.
No. And it didn't necessarily work out the way I would thought it was going to because along part. Oh. Hi, Jesse Ozog. Good to see you here, pal.
Ryan,
Sorry.
wave. You're embarrassing us.
He's been doing this. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Ryan, wave to Jesse Ozog.
Ryan, wave. Ryan. Jesse, that means you should have heat with Ryan giving you thumbs down and not even
We've had
saying-
heat. We've had heat.
Well, then I'm off the.
It's Jesse fucking Ozog, Ryan.
Seriously, come on.
Patiently waited for the stickers. You're embarrassing us, Ryan.
Always the embarrassing.
Listen, Ryan in his head is trying to figure out a way to make a joke date happen. So just let it go.
Joke date? What are you
talking? Oh no. Kate's gonna go on a real date, but then I think we also need a joke one for the fun of it because we can't show the pod her real date because we might get in some legal trouble. So
wait a minute.
Let me tell you what I'm not doing.
Hold on. Everybody's making it seem like I said there was going to be some sort of crazy shit happening. It's if they're from across the country, Kate's either flying out there or she's flying them out here. It'll be in a public place. Nothing else will happen. Kate, hold on. Kate, hands up. Kate.
Yeah. Yep.
Kate. Just go with it, Kate. What are we doing?
That looks like he's like trying to do binoculars.
No, all right.
Just go with it.
Why was Ryan acting like he could hear us just then when we're clearly having a very tunneled conversation?
Tone of silence.
I didn't say I could hear anything.
Anyway, win a date with Kate. Just a date. That's all. Ryan's
Unless you're very suave.
But now we can't control what happens after the date. That's between Kate
You and
the date
God.
and post.
I feel like
We're
I'm
the
being put in a precarious
Ayo.
situation.
No.
No, this is a very serious situation that we are very serious about.
Super serial.
Super duper cereal.
However, I should stress though, to go on the date with Kate, we will need your credit card information, social security number,
Yes.
and address.
Blood type, driver's license number as well.
Guys, don't worry. It will be completely vetted. Don't worry. We've got it under control.
I don't want that.
Hold on. Ryan.
Maybe-
Hold on.
I want that information to vet. I want to steal identities.
Ryan, don't worry. You can't say it out there, okay?
Guys, can somebody register the YouTube handle Peter Avalon and make them the 500 subscribers so I can go on a date with Peter Avalon. Thank you.
Pretty sure he owns it, so you better make sure that he subscribes.
Okay.
At 500.
Well, wait, I want to add something to the lore of me.
Mm-hmm.
I can only hear you if you do the Aussie.
Everybody,
one
guys,
lieutenant
what's up?
photo. Thank you for your service. One lieutenant photo.
See Aussie.
No, he's no good. No good. All right. So why don't we talk about Dynamite? Because there's
today.
It was good, but there are a few things we certainly need to discuss. So we open up with Shivani interviewing MJF, who goes on to say it's 3 seconds is all it takes to end a world title reign. And Jay White should savor his 3 seconds because it is not going to happen again. So that's when Adam Cole starts a video call and then admits he's really worried about MJF. And as his best friend, he knows he doesn't want to hear it, but if he wants to beat the Guns, he's going to need to accept Joe's offer. But MJF doesn't want to hear it and says he'll take care of Bullet Club Gold, I should say, after he takes care of Daniel Garcia tonight. That's when DG rolls up with 2.0 to basically scoff at the idea of being taken care of. And Max says he's given Dan a chance because he reminds him of himself and asks if he's getting a sports entertainer or a sports entertainer or a pro wrestler. And Garcia says he's getting the pro wrestler tonight. So that's when Roddy Strong and the Kingdom roll up. And Roddy offers MJF some tips as a wrestling legend. So MJF basically scoffs at that and says, "You're a joke. You were a legend." And then he walks off. And that leaves Roddy to try and convince Adam that Max is a fraud. But Adam hangs up and Roddy says it's time to remind everyone exactly who he is. And we move on. So, they've been doing this a little bit over I feel like the past few weeks, right? Like they've opened up sort of like cold open and then do like an intro video, the intro video, or they go straight to the ring and do something from there. I don't necessarily hate it. I just don't want them to do it all the time. Like I'm hoping that we get to the end of this sort of story through Full Gear. And if they move, when they move on to something else, they sort of don't do this for a little bit. I just don't want them to play it out. You know what I mean? Does that maybe I'm nitpicking, but I just
it makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I like all of this. I like all of this going on also because MJF is rolled up into so many stories. So we need sometimes like this extra time to, I guess, sort of remember, hey, here's all the spoons in the porridge that MJF has going on. But Kate, anything you want to add about this opening?
No, I'm cool with it. I think they've done a good job of building out MJF's title reign to be a thing where everybody's finally coming after him. Like it's a good story for him to have. There's a lot of seeds of dissension. There's a lot of possibilities, especially with his contract situation, right? Like they've done a good job of making it feel like it's probably going to wind down somewhere soon. There's a lot of directions they could go, right? Like it could be Jay White, it could be returning Adam Cole. If Will Ospreay signs, it could be Will Ospreay. Samoa Joe's coming after him. Like there's plenty of things here, and MJF has never been more vulnerable than when he's been trusting people, and his brochacha was sidelined. So I like what they're doing here. I thought this was a great move with Daniel Garcia because I felt like last week's Dynamite was like the worst Dynamite in a really, really long time. So this felt like a statement episode with some refreshed younger stars instead of some wrinkly old ball sacks. It made me very happy. So longer rant than just this intro, but I like where it's going. I do like when they just start with in-ring action, though. That's my preference.
Okay. Joe, anything you'd like to comment on about the opening?
I prefer my cold open stay on Collision.
Oh, he's a collider. He's a collider, that Joe.
Have you seen the stage? Come on.
Joe gets it.
It's nothing else. It's
Joe
nothing else.
Gets it. It's a better stage. It's a better show, and it's a better cold open.
I'm going to say this. That Collision stage, it's majestic. I don't think I've heard anybody say it, but it is. It's majestic.
I'm right here.
Have you used the term majestic, though?
Probably.
Okay.
At least several synonyms.
There legitimately is a good chance that she has, considering how many times she turned to me during Collision and said, "That stage."
Oh, that stage.
What a stage. Schlong, anything about the opening?
No, you guys kind of said it all. It was good. I mean, I'm with Kate. I prefer Dynamite start with some in-ring stuff. It keeps the two shows feeling different. But as for the promos themselves, they were good. And I'm kind of excited if this means Roddy's going to start wrestling regularly because he is very good in the ring.
Well, a little bit of foreshadowing from Roddy. We will maybe come back to discuss that as the show rolls on. But let's move on. Our first match of the night is the AEW World Championship. I honestly didn't know where this was going to fall on the card, so interesting that it comes first, but obviously as the events of the night roll on, it makes sense. So we do have pro wrestler Red Death Daniel Garcia with 2.0 and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He is better than you, and you know it. He does win by submission with Assault to the Earth to retain his championship. Post-match, he offers a handshake to Danny Garcia. He looks like he's going to take it, but 2.0 rush the ring and pull Garcia away before he can shake MJF's hand. So Max asks if he's going to keep following them, when this could be him, MJF could be Garcia, and he offers another handshake, but 2.0 pull him away, and they leave together, and we go to break. So not great for Danny Garcia, still sort of under the thumb, unable to break away from the people who've been loyal to him. But we are seeing this sort of internal struggle now out of Danny Garcia, which I like. I think it's just a matter of time here. They're slow burning this for some reason. But everything that seems to come off of Chris Jericho is a slow burn. So, Ryan, since you didn't have too much to add last time, I'm going to go to you first. Anything you'd like to add about this match or the post-match or this story?
So I'm going to talk about the story more than the match because I feel like I'd be infringing on Kate territory if I talked about in-ring things. While this is now starting to be a slow burn, it also feels like it's actually been sped up dramatically, considering there had been weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks with nothing from Daniel Garcia, and now suddenly he's full into a story, which is just awesome. And I think part of it is the outcry from people being like, where the hell is Daniel Garcia? We want Daniel Garcia. Listen, when he's not on screen, people should be asking, where's Poochie?
It's true.
They should always be wondering. And so, Kate, that was a Simpsons joke. And
I'm aware of Poochie because people say that about Charlotte Flair, so I learned through WWE.
When he's not around, they should be asking each other, where's Poochie? So the story, while you're right, they seem to be slow burning it now. It does feel like out of nowhere they decided to at least light the match, which is just ridiculous because he should have been doing this all along.
Well, just so you know, Schlong, the only slow burn part I mean is sort of the breakaway of Danny Garcia.
No, you're right, but that's what I'm saying. Like they went from nothing to boom, he's going to be on all these shows in a row. But his story in those shows is going to be a slow burn of him breaking away. Like they went from 0 to, I want to say 60, 0 to 35. And now we're waiting for them to leave 35 to hit the 60. And it just takes some time, It's an old car. Jericho just forgot to change the oil. It's a whole lot of stuff.
What a metaphor. What a metaphor out of Ryan.
What is a metaphor?
To stay on NXT, actually.
Oh. Joe, I'm going to go to you again in the middle. Anything you'd like to discuss about the match, the story, without infringing on anybody's gimmick, I guess, since we all have gimmicks.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't realize I drew that line in the sand, Ryan, that nobody else is allowed to talk about in-ring but me.
I'm hoping that this is the catalyst for Garcia's return to being a professional wrestler. They've had this yo-yoing back and forth multiple times with Garcia, so hopefully this is the one that kind of pushes that forward finally. I will touch on a couple of things in the match so I don't step on Kate.
Thank you, Joe.
I like the wrestling of, we forget how good this young talent is until they actually go mano a mano. And one of my favorite little things early on was just Garcia's reaction to getting the eye poke. Most people would just sit there and oh, my eye, but I like the fact that he was still wildly swinging and going after MJF. Just little details like that. And other than that, really like the hammerlock DDT by MJF.
I had that written down, Joe. What the hell?
Steve, what did I tell you?
Joe.
And the fact that MJF won when Garcia kind of doing a little bit of dancing in the sharpshooter.
Joe, you've stepped in shit, my friend. Kate, I don't know if you have anything else to talk about now, but you certainly have the time.
Well, thank God. I also have MJF's brainbuster written down. Okay, and I have Daniel Garcia's Saito suplex written down. Thank God.
You are lucky, Joe. You are lucky.
That I had other spots written down to talk about. But no, this was great. The Kenny and MJF match was so incredible. And the one note that I had a co-host point this out to me, he was like, the only thing that I felt like should have been different is the one adjustment I would have made in the entire match was Kenny having the eye poke scouted, because Kenny's the guy who should have seen that coming. And he should have just done one of these, just put this up so that it can't go into the eyes. He was like, that's the one adjustment I would have made. And I really thought that was a good point. But to Joe's point, because other people make points on this podcast about in-ring, I do think him flailing is the appropriate ring maturity response for him to have, to your point, where it was he didn't just take it, but he didn't safeguard against it, but he also didn't let it stop him, right? So I really liked this opener. I kind of wish it had gone longer. I feel like they made a big deal out of it. It was a championship match, not in the main event. It felt a little bit short to me. And I gotta be honest, I just have not cared about anything Jericho's done in a very long time. Because it's Ospreay. I can't think of the last time I was interested in this guy before that. I'm just, holy hell. One fast burn is not gonna kill you, but this felt like a statement episode, and this was a good way to start off a statement episode. Your world title match, two young talents. Daniel Garcia, I think, is 25. Ridiculous. So good stuff on that. And it was nice to have a thing that reminds you that the future is bright, because we've been getting guys who can't walk or talk or wrestle for far too frequently.
Not wrong there. So we come back from our commercial break and get a promo from Mark Briscoe against Jay White about his match against Jay White tonight. So we have that coming. Turns out that's our main event in the evening. We will talk about it. But we move on to Darby Allin and Sting versus the Outrunners, Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd.
They're so fun.
I don't know about you guys. Of the two of them, Turbo Floyd, I think Turbo Floyd is my guy.
He's the man.
Nothing against Truth, but Turbo's the shit.
I love
anyway,
them both.
This one, I mean, they are a lot of fun, but this did not go the way I think we thought it was going to go. Darby and Sting do win by submission with the Scorpion Deathlock from Sting on Truth Magnum.
I mean, very, very close to the time limit draw on this. This was took up a lot of the episode, but it was worth it.
Very close. They did mention during this match, I think it was Sting's only his second match ever in Portland or maybe even Oregon altogether. And he hadn't appeared, I don't think, in Oregon since, I don't know, I want to say 87 or something crazy like that, right? So it was a big deal, I guess, just have Sting show up and appear in front of the crowd. So good for them. Joe, without ruining spots, anything you'd like to talk about here?
I have one note, and it won't ruin the spot. It's just that I have to imagine during this match, facing the Outrunners, it must have felt like facing the Freebirds in like 1988 WCW for Sting. I'm like, it had to be is that Michael P.S. Hayes over there?
Yes.
Bobby Eaton. Beautiful Bobby.
Yep. They are a throwback team for sure, but also think about it from obviously, like, you know, the Outrunners had no shot here, right? But when you think about this from an Outrunner perspective, it has to be cool for those guys to be like, hey, we got to share the ring with Sting. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter how brief. That's just a cool, I guess, personal moment. Like, Ryan would shit his pants because Sting is his guy. Sting is his Hogan, his Flair, his Ultimate Warrior. It's Sting. It's
his Jeff Jarrett.
Sting! Whoa. Let's not go crazy, Kate. There's only one double J.
There it is. Ryan, anything you want to add about the Outrunners and Darby and Sting?
Let me go to my match notes. No, but I do have one thing to add. And it's not
Okay.
about the match because I want to leave it for Kate because she gets very mad. No one sees it, but when we're off air, she just starts yelling at us. The match was mine to talk about. But so it's very cool for all the live audiences knowing that they're in the Sting retirement tour to get to see Sting wrestle. Like, that's very cool. So what happens when Sting comes to Philly? And I'm like, yes, I get to see Sting. Fucking Ric Flair.
Kate, I know you have a lot of spots to talk about in this match. The floor is yours, however long you need. Apparently you're the spot master when it comes to dissecting matches on this show.
Now I don't know if I want to because
Oh.
everybody else already went. I did think there was a suplex that took way too long for Turbo Floyd to deliver in this. I actually did have a match note on that because I didn't know if it was going to be this short. But other than that, this was fun. It kind of makes me want the Outrunners versus FTR because you would have like mid-80s NWA 4 Horsemen feel versus like the other kind of archetype of the 80s. But they're fun. They've been on ROH a bunch. If you guys haven't been following ROH, like they've shown some promise there. Like they're pretty good in the ring. They're capable of much more than what they did tonight, obviously. But this was good. This was a solid like Sting appearance, and it didn't take up too much time on my television. So like a better use of old guys. Good thinking.
Very true. And they were obviously just they were also out there because they have their big match Saturday night, right? So it's going to be Darby, Sting, and the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland versus the Righteous and Lance Archer. So Vincent's here. Ryan, we can't hear snapping out of your microphone.
Don't do the weird tongue thing. Don't do the weird tongue thing.
Ryan, can you do the tongue
Good.
thing?
Nope, it's good.
Please.
It's fine.
Ryan?
You already offered
Come
me
on,
out on
Ryan.
a date. It's getting weird. Good. Thanks.
We don't need to hear the sound of your tongue. It wasn't coming through. So don't worry about that.
Your weird lizard face, Eddie.
Oh God. All right.
I
Moving
can't do
on.
it as good as he can. He just does it so well.
Tony Schiavone moderates the sit-down contract signing between Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm in black and white, of course. And Shida asks what happened to Tony, accuses her of wanting attention for her silly acting, but Tony says that Shida ruined what was supposed to be her walking into Wembley, and then she happened again, and she couldn't make history, so she became history. So, she signs the contract. I also enjoyed that she called Shida Hikaru. That was a fun little thing. I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. So Hikaru, she throws the tits up, chin up, tits out.
Tits up. Hold those tits up, everyone.
Shoe, yeah. Sorry, I feel like it's been forever since she's actually said.
It has, but just the idea of hold those tits up.
Just
tits up,
hold
chin out. Oh no, I've got it backwards.
Very, very sexy look.
Up, out. Look out for the shoe. And then they basically they just do a little stare down and that's it. We go to break. I don't know if we need to dissect this at this moment. There's certainly something I want to touch on later, but I don't know.
I had one thought. I still think they need to make. I hope they're making a timeless Tony Storm action figure in black and white.
I mean, that has to happen. I'm with you, Joe.
Also,
yeah,
a DLC for the game where she's in black and white.
That would be fun.
I had someone in another chat say that she should turn the women's belt into the Turner Classic Movies belt, which I thought was the sincerely most clever move that you could make. I loved that idea.
I mean, they'd be able to use the name, the TCM belt.
100%. Like, and they don't do that with the women's belts, so that could be something that's really fun and special to her.
Yeah.
I loved that idea. I'll just say that, like, it would be cool. I'm very split on this because I feel like the more Tony loses, the more unhinged she becomes, and I want to see that. But her getting an intentional title reign when her character's this over, instead of just, hey, you're the default of who got injured, would be nice. They also need to freshen up the women's championship picture with some fresh faces. Like, it's just been Tony, Shida, Britt, Saraya. Like, there's been no new blood in there, and they have some other over talent. So I'd like to see that get cycled in. We'll talk about obviously who showed up later and everything, but I would not hate like a transitional title reign from this Tony Storm who's this over, and not out of like, hey, someone got injured and you're reliable. Like, doing something intentional for her seems like a fair move at this point, if that's where they're going.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask the question: does Tony Storm win this belt, and now we're just sort of like transitioning from person to person, maybe until, because don't forget too, like Jamie Hayter was supposed to be part of some longer picture, and obviously she got hurt, so she's been out for quite some time. She's not due back, but like, you know, they either have to make the decision, to keep it on somebody for an extended run that's worth something, or we're going to ping pong this title around from person to person, maybe give them short runs, but ones of quality, and maybe move it on before it gets stale. So do we think that maybe that's what they're lining up to do? Because I can see Tony Storm winning this belt, but I don't know if I can see Tony Storm holding this belt for like 9 months. You know what I mean? And I think, to your point, Kate, like you said, she's at the point with this character where she's so over. She doesn't need to have a long run, but she needs to have a quality run. Because the last few, my big argument when she lost that belt was, she deserves to hold it and get something of quality out of it, but they never really got her anywhere, near that. So, like, I think that there's a case for Tony Storm winning this match. I don't know, like, Kate, just since you brought it up, like about her title run, do you think they're lining up somebody to do a long run, maybe Tony, or do you think we're going to start to do shorter runs until we figure out when some of these other people are going to become part of the picture?
Yeah, I think the idea of Tony Storm losing it again, like if she wins it and then loses it again, that is just even more character gold mining that you can have. And if it's to Ruby, or if maybe Mariah May comes in the picture here, or returning Thunder Rosa, because Rosa had to give it up to Tony, and now Tony is an insane person. There's something really fun there. I think a transitional moment from like Full Gear to maybe Revolution or something, where it's just this much fun for a couple months, don't overstay your welcome with it, is good. And then that character passing it off to anybody new is going to be fine. Like, that's such a silly character that she can make anybody look good, and she's going to lose nothing by losing, because when she loses things of value to her, it just adds to the character. That's kind of the magic about it, right? So I think there's a whole bunch of fun to be had in that.
I'll pose the same question to Joe and then Ryan. So Joe, where do you think they're heading with this? Long run, some short runs? What's your thought?
How about medium? I'll go medium. We haven't said medium yet, have we?
Oh, we're throwing in a third option. Okay. Ryan doesn't like this. He's shaking his head. He's put his hands up. Like
Fred Durst? What is happening?
Or somebody just entered his apartment and is holding him up.
Fred Durst goes backwards. Get it right, Kate.
Are you down with the
I just thought
that's the wrong group, Kate. What are we doing?
Oh, what am I doing? They're both so
what? Oh, you're wrong there. They're both great.
I just was shocked at Joe taking such a hot take. But I have an idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's for a long run. But the way we develop Tony is she goes through the eras of movies. So this is the early Hollywood. And then you go to like the 50s era, and then like the 60s era, 70s, 80s. So she just keeps evolving and do her different movie roles.
She is currently in the silent era. So we still have the talkies. You're right.
We can get her to do the talkies. And she just keeps, and the colors can keep getting. So like when you get to like the technicolor stuff, like think about it, guys. Kate doesn't seem sold on this, but that's okay. She's no fun. Think about it, guys.
No, I don't hate it. I was just seeing in the chat too, people saying like Mariah May being an insane fan. Like,
oh yeah, I actually really do like that.
It's a fun idea of her being like a weird stalker fan that eventually gets under the Tony Storm umbrella and under her skin is a really fun arc.
I put her under the umbrella immediately. As like that's how you get her like integrated with the AEW audience, and she's Tony's muscle for in a weird way, even though she's not really muscle, but you know what I'm saying. She's Tony's henchman, basically.
Yeah, I got very much single white female movie vibes from Mariah May's promo backstage.
Yeah, people calling it like the Mickey James story. I saw that on Twitter quite a bit too. That's fun. Like that's a really good context for this.
Can I also add Tony Storm adjacent? I love the fact that they've renamed Luther.
It's great.
It's perfect.
This whole thing's
such a good use of Luther.
It also credit to Sheeta for her facial reactions every time she gets interrupted by Tony Storm. She's been great with this. Of just like Tony Storm appears at the end of the ramp and she's just won a title defense and she's just like it's been really good. It's been really
I'm gonna
good.
be honest, the stare down between Tony and Sheeta at the end of their segment wouldn't have been as funny if Sheeta didn't have like an equally ridiculous facial expression.
Yes. She's been doing good with it.
So. And the fact that she just had a shoe pulled on her.
It's true. Lethal.
Didn't even blink. She's like, yeah, there's a shoe.
She's like, I see it. I'm blocking it. So well, we move on to our next match. It's Penta versus Swerve. They tell us before this match that Hangman is banned from ringside for this match. And we get through it, and Swerve does wind up coming out with a win with the Swerve Stomp. Post-match, Swerve starts to tear at Penta's mask, but Hangman comes to make the save with a chair to stop him. And then two security guards come running to try to help, but chair shots keep them away. And then the referees come down, but it's too late. There happens to be a couple tables set up right next to the ramp where they never have tables set up. I don't know why tonight of all nights they decided to put two tables right next to the ramp, but Deadeye off the stage through the tables. And Hangman is, dare I say, unhinged. But I guess it makes sense, right? Swerve broke into his house and was talking to his baby, who was in the crib, apparently. I don't know where that kid's mother was, but not great.
Deep sleeper.
Anyway, I will say I enjoyed seeing this unhinged Hangman. Like, after he hits the Deadeye and gets up and he's like in his face jawing at him. I really like that out of Hangman. The look in his eyes was also fucking crazy. So,
what did you see?
Oh, No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not gonna give in to that. But the match was fantastic. For me, I thought it was great. Ryan, what did you think of the match?
Match was amazing. I don't want to speak to many of the moments in the match.
Okay, thank you.
I do know it per sources on the scene. One Tony Khan, he said it got a well-deserved "This is awesome" chant, which I'm glad to hear from sources that it got that. What I was most thrilled by was it was a clean win. I felt like this was what I used to always love about AEW, that not every match had to end with the interference, and they waited till the end of the match to have Hangman come out. So I really like that Swerve got a clean, I mean, whatever you want to call clean in a match with two managers out there, but a clean win. And then the shenanigans happened. And you don't know that those tables aren't there most weeks. When are we even on that side? We don't know.
I mean, I feel like we see the side of the ramp a little bit week after week.
Well, as someone who studied the Collision stage, I can tell you they're not there for Collision, because I am just taking in everything on the stage around it because it's so majestic.
This wasn't Collision. This was the rinky-dink Dynamite stage.
I'm just saying. I'm just speaking to what I know, and what I know is the Collision stage, and I know it very well.
Joe, without talking about spots in the match, what'd you think? But also, were you I forgot to sort of pose this to you, Ryan, but were you as surprised as I was with them doing this table spot, like, I don't know, a week out of this pay-per-view and risking injury?
They don't give any fucks.
Whoa. It sounds negative from you.
No, it's a stupid. I mean, I will admit, it seems like, wow, why would you do that? But you needed to have Hangman come out unhinged.
True.
I'm just glad that table was there to break their fall and to hold up a bunch of cables that it was holding up.
With tablecloths too. It's very fancy.
Yeah. Overall, the match was good. I like this match with Penta better than the Rampage Luchador special that they had. I thought it worked better for me. I the Luchador style can be a little bit much after a while for me. I like seeing the ascent of Swerve and him climbing up and getting a big push. I was a little confused why Heyman wasn't there maybe on Collision last week after the break-in. That didn't make a lot of sense. I'm glad that after they said that he was banned from the ring or whatever tonight, he shows up and he should be unhinged and crazy and running around like a madman if someone broke into your house and threatened your family. I mean, I would expect nothing less. And I also never understand why there are never any repercussions against people who break into other people's homes on wrestling program. It's like, it's just a part of the business. You can attack people in the parking lot. You can break into people's houses. You can, threaten the family.
Well, if
all is fair
with a camera crew.
That's true. Well, he didn't have a crew. It was just him carrying a camera. I assume a camcorder, right? Because it wouldn't be a phone.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see a baby monitor.
No baby monitor.
Are they shitty parents?
I was going to say, maybe that's where Hangman was Saturday. Maybe Hangman was just making sure his wife knows the protocols. Like, hey, don't go to sleep. When I'm not there and I'm in this thing with Swerve, like, he's crazy. Or maybe put the monitor next to your bed. Or, I don't know, don't take a sleeping pill. Who knows? I'm not saying she does, but I'm just throwing out anything it could be. But you're right, Joe. Especially when you have video evidence that somebody has broken and entered your home, you would think there's at very least legal repercussions. But I don't know the law. That's why I'm not a lawyer.
You could easily had, in kayfabe of, oh yeah, Swerve been suspended pending investigation, blah blah blah, and then Heyman being upset that Tony is keeping Swerve away from him.
True.
And he has to agree not to press charges, and they have their match.
Just let Swerve steal the kid.
I will say this. We have established that you want to stay out of wrestling parking lots.
Yeah.
I mean, so you would think of all the places you'd be safe, it would be your home. But guess not. Guess not. We're going to add it to the list. Kate, all the spot talk you could give right now.
Oh my God, the head scissors and the leaping uppercut from Swerve I thought were great in this. Penta with the backstabber that sent Swerve to the outside I thought was really good. Loved him cutting off the dive from Penta shortly after that. I thought they had really good chemistry. There's a double clothesline in here. I wrote that with like a little haha face because double clotheslines make me think of Max. I don't know. There was a fireman carry jackhammer that I thought was really nice in here, apparently.
You haven't mentioned a spot that I liked so far, so yeah. Go.
The Death Valley Driver?
Nope, that wasn't it. I liked it.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Kate missed a spot. Uh-oh. She's going to lose this.
No. I don't miss spots. I'm the one that talks about what's important in the match. If somebody else has some supplemental bullshit that they want to fill in with, that's fine. But sure, Joe, tell me what spot I missed.
I liked Swerve's stomp to Penta to stomp him onto the outside.
Oh my
God. He was kind of dangling on the ropes.
How exciting. No, that was really cool. Unlike Ryan, I have no cap about that.
No cap.
Ryan's got a cap.
All Ryan's got is caps.
He does. He's full of
very
caps.
gray hair.
He's full of
Nothing wrong with that, buddy. You Silver Fox.
That's true.
Look at all that salt
I
and
won't
pepper.
argue that point.
Hey, listen. The only thing you need on your steak is a little salt and pepper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I like some seasoning too.
Oh my God, Ryan! Just
You should have saved that segue for like the next match coming up.
I don't remember what the next match was. Anyway, let's
Big
see.
meaty man slapping meat.
That's right. We did get
Day in my life.
That's right. Ryan spends his time as a big meaty man slapping his meat. He said it.
I wouldn't say it was mine, but sure.
Oh, well. Win a date with Kate or Ryan.
But that's for 1,000. Come on, I got some standards here.
I mean, listen, Ryan, can we have a sidebar for a minute here?
Yes, ever.
Ryan, whatever's gonna get to 5, we need it, buddy. Come on.
No. We start with our lowest offering at 5, and that's
Is that a
Kate.
Hawthorne
Kate is
Heights
by far
shirt?
the lowest we can offer.
What?
I am the big bucks
Hawthorne
at
Heights shirt
1,000.
you have on under your flannel?
Okay.
It is.
Nice.
All right, we're back.
Ohio is for lovers.
Ohio is for lovers. Bullet Club Golder interviewed backstage. Jay White does some weird promo about social graphs I didn't quite get, but it's promo for the match tonight. So and for Max. So we'll talk about the match. It was just really weird. I don't think he thought of the right terms. He was like, Mix wanted me to look at some social graphs. I'm like, what?
The social media graphs.
What?
MJF had like a whole Google rank your name next to mine or whatever thing. So that's what he was referencing.
Whatever. It's fine. Don Callis and Kenny Omega had some sort of video game promo for the match on Saturday night. My only thing I want to say about that is they need to fucking fix the volume, man. I couldn't hear a fucking thing Kenny was saying. I got the gist of it, but like, just balance your levels. That's it. It's a pre-fucking tape thing. Balance your levels.
That's it.
That's
all
it.
we ask. I gotta say too, like, has anybody else? And I don't want to be. I mean, I'm not Ryan. I'm not allergic to negativity, but like, have we been underwhelmed by the arrival of Kota Ibushi?
Yeah, I think we've said it. We haven't been shy to say that. We've said
yeah,
that
it's like
he hasn't looked like himself.
Hasn't looked like himself. There hasn't been like a really good program for him to walk into. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe New Japan didn't clear him because maybe he shouldn't really be wrestling wrestling anymore. Maybe it's not like in a good. He hasn't seemed like he's in a good way, and the creative has not compensated for that. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe you should be able to figure out what to do with Kota freaking Ibushi. But anyway,
I'm just
yay,
whelmed.
Sega. You're just whelmed.
I'm not over or underwhelmed because, again, I didn't really have high expectations for him coming in because I didn't really know a lot about him.
Oh,
So I'm just whelmed. However, this is great crossover for AEW.
I guess we haven't gotten to whitewashing Japanese wrestling history yet.
That's right. Ryan's not there with his blog yet. You're right. But he's whitewashing American history. So
got to start somewhere.
That's right. Eventually we'll get there. He's thinking about it, though. He is deep in thought.
I mean, Japanese history does have a lot of white wrestlers.
It's true.
It was invented in 1985 when Hulk Hogan went over.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All of the marquee talent right now, like a lot of them are white. You could just talk about Will Ospreay and Finlay and Zack Sabre Jr. And...
I thought you said marquee talent, and then you said Zack Sabre Jr., so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
it's like Great O'Khan, huge gap. ZSJ.
Okay. Speaking though about Kenny and Don Callis, when they get back from commercial, Kenny and Chris Jericho are being interviewed backstage by the ravishing Renee Paquette. And Jericho says he thinks Don Callis didn't realize the caliber of friend they'd have to help him. And that's when the Young Bucks roll up to whine about Kenny palling around with Chris Jericho, and they don't have a locker room because Chris's shit takes up all the space. And Kenny is just sort of standing there quietly. And eventually, Jericho basically saying that the two of them can beat the Bucks. And the Bucks then make it official and challenge them to a match at Full Gear. Chris wants to put a little bit of steam on it and says if they win, not if, when they win, they're going to get the Bucks guaranteed title shot that they've been sitting on. And the Bucks want to up the ante again and say that when they do win, Kenny and Chris won't be allowed to team anymore, and we're going to get back to being the Elite. So Omega finally chimes in and says if this is about who's the greatest tag team of all time, clearly that's the Bucks. No argument. But if it's about who can beat them, Kenny says he's done it before. With Kota, with Hangman, both of them. And if they really want to do it all over again, they'll do it, and maybe the Bucks will clean up their act and be like adults and not some sissy, whiny, bitchy children. So it's set, and then Jericho says that he'll take them to the woodshed and beat their spoiled brat asses. Also, he has his own locker room. Okay, questions. Kate, hand is up.
Yeah, I would like to talk about the in-ring of this promo.
Which spot did you enjoy?
I thought the talking in stereo part was really good. I thought that was great. Did the Young Bucks win a title shot at Wrestle Dream?
They did, but
they quite literally referenced it.
They're sitting on it, which is why Jericho says when Jericho and Kenny win, they're going to take that shot.
Okay, but like they're in the hometown of the Bucks for this Full Gear pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the thing that breaks my heart is this was probably either supposed to be them versus FTR3 or it was supposed to be them versus Aussie Open. And that sucks that we're not getting either one of those matches because who the fuck cares about this Golden Jets thing, man? I would infinitely rather see even this version of Kota Ibushi, I'd rather see than Jericho and Kenny teaming up. I think it would be cool. I don't think they're going to do that because Swerve and Hangman have their own match. But like if Hangman lost to Swerve and took Jericho out and started leaning heel and it was Kenny and Hangman versus the Bucks, I think that would be awesome. I don't think they're going to do that though. It could be fun to get Kenny and Hangman back together and have like a quick Hangman Jericho feud in a long run. Like maybe that goes into Full Gear. But I'm very interested in seeing three of these guys in the ring. And I'm not at all interested in seeing how Jericho and the Bucks work together.
Oh, I was going to say your three are Kenny, Jericho.
Nick Jackson
Nick
and
Jackson.
yeah, fuck Matt Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. I just want to be sure we're on the same page. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, we all know that they are dealing with a ton of injuries at the moment. And no doubt, many plans had to change because of injuries. I don't need it, right? Like, if it winds up being a great match, then good. You know what I mean? Like, it will have exceeded my expectations. But they, it's the Bucks' hometown. You want to get them on the card. You don't want to do a title match at the moment. I actually, is it FTR who holds the titles right now?
No, Ricky and Big Bill, which makes
It's
it even
Ricky
more
and Big Bill,
confusing,
right?
yeah.
That's right. I don't know why I just blanked. I like you said that, and I'm like, oh yeah, duh, what a fucking idiot. Yeah, I just don't think that they want to do Ricky and Big Bill versus the Bucks, because I don't think they want to rip the belts off them, because I think Ricky is good with the belt, right? So it's like, I don't know what they're doing with this. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But I said it last week, Joe, right? I think I said I'm tired of this Elite being best friends, and then all of a sudden now we're like not best friends and we're arguing with infighting, and then eventually we're going to come back together and be best friends, and then we're not. Like, I'm tired of this story. We either need to break it or we need to just keep it together. But like, I don't know where we're going, because I can't see the Bucks losing, but I also didn't see FTR losing, right? So it's like, who knows? I don't know, Joe. What do you think?
No, I agree. This is very much a break glass in case of emergency when you need something to fill in, and the Elite dissension is just kind of what that is. It's we have these big names. We don't really have a great place to put them right now in the story, so we'll just have them argue with each other, and they'll have some good matches. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with them.
Schlong, I don't know. What's your take on this whole feud thing?
I mean, I'm not quite as negative on it as Kate is. I am with you. The story is just often repeated and just needs to go away. That all being said, Nyla Rose was right. They missed a perfect opportunity for Kenny and the Jets.
How so? You'd have to have like another person besides Jericho.
Well, there's a whole team.
Kenny and the Jets.
Okay, so you're talking about
So Aaron Rodgers, Jericho.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is hurt, so he's unavailable.
That's why Jericho's here, though.
I mean, he's back throwing that ball on the field. We don't know where he is.
Why Zach Wilson's a fucking head case. Also, no talent. But anyway.
But yeah, I mean, they could have been the
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
The foursome could have been Kenny and the Jets, but what could have been? At least we get to see Jericho wrestle, because Kate loves it.
It's true.
Listen, he and Ospreay were great. He and Adam Cole in that, whatever the fuck that was, bad. Him and the 6-man at Wrestle Dream, bad. Or not Wrestle Dream, Forbidden Door, bad. Like, he has not looked good. And I feel like the thing I don't argue with is if the idea is you have so much equity in Chris Jericho that he can get younger talent over, that makes sense. Kenny Omega and the Bucks don't really need the rub from Chris Jericho at this point in their careers. So I also don't like the talent usage there, unless is Sammy Guevara going to come in and cost Jericho some, you know what I mean? There's always potential for shenanigans, but they generally don't do those on pay-per-views, and I'd prefer for it to stay that way.
Well, you never know anymore. They're doing a lot of stuff that they haven't done before. But I digress. Let's move on to Ryan's personal favorite, meaty men slapping around meat. The only thing that would be better for Ryan is meat spinning, but they can all be winners, right?
I found something out the other day.
Yes.
I'm very
there was a certain website related to that, Anthony.
Are you kidding, Ryan? You didn't know about?
No. I knew about the website.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know there was music associated with it because when we played the prank, we would mute the computer so the person didn't know until they sat down in front of it.
Oh, the best part was the music.
Yeah.
No, we didn't use the music.
Hey,
It was silent.
do you know what we're talking about for real?
Of course I do. Our mutual friend of that guy, big proponent.
That's what I was talking to about this.
I went to college with him, man. Of course, I know.
Okay.
And he's who told me there was a song. I didn't know there was a song.
There you go.
All right. As long as we're all on the same page, yes. So Ryan's meat spinning, Limitless, Keith Lee, and Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Kate's going to talk about all the spots, so I'm not going to go into any of the spots. But Samoa Joe does win by referee stoppage with the Coquina Clutch to retain the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. And post-match, Joe calls for a mic, and he starts to cut a promo. He says that he is the greatest Ring of Honor World Television Championship of all time. But he didn't come here just to be a television champ. And if hunger defines the greats, he's officially hungry. And that is why he is officially vacating the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. He lays the belt down and says the next gold on his shoulder will be the AEW World Championship, whether Max likes it or not. Exit stage left. It is over. The reign of Joe is over. He just wanted to get that record, I guess. And Kate, Kate,
Yeah.
can you do me one favor?
What?
Can you talk about the spots of the match first and then go off on your rant?
I liked the Manhattan drop into the big boot. The release German suplex from Keith Lee was great.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I write down?
The leapfrog.
Leapfrog was in there.
Okay.
The ground zero.
Okay.
The Coquina Clutch. But the rest of my notes just say, what the ever-loving fuck.
So, okay. So we've talked about the spots, and now we're going to dig in. So now that the title's been vacated, Kate, can you please give me your take on all of this?
What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Joe held the title for like 500 days. It's Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor, a TV champion for 500 days, and you're not even going to pay off everything you invested into this reign. We sat through him not showing up on ROH TV because you were building up all this equity of him defending it in AEW. You worked with his TV show schedule. He showed up for like half of his reign and wasn't around the other half of it. We were told that it was because the legend of Samoa Joe means too much for ROH. And if you put it on AEW TV, it'll be great exposure for who he drops to. And then he doesn't fucking drop to anybody. The week after, you have the Bucks drop it back to Gates of Agony and Brian Cage for no fucking reason. What are we doing? I thought the whole point of all this was so that when we got to Final Battle, people who were suffering through the ROH weekly programming, and I do mean suffering as someone who has to review this shit every week, would be so that the payoff of these big names holding these championships would drop them to other people and it would make them stars. It would set the ROH product moving forward. And now you have a vacated championship. You have Mark Briscoe back. There's a story right there. And if you wanted him to drop the title tonight because he's going after MJF, you could have just had Keith Lee win. Shane Taylor's right fucking there. You have Shane Taylor Promotions reforming. And a story with the Pretty Boys right there. Shane Taylor could have come and cost Joe because Joe's beat him before. This makes no fucking sense. And it's absolutely maddening as an ROH fan and someone who reviews the ROH product that we were at least being led to the idea of, well, if it's showing up in AEW, that means all these people are going to at least drop to ROH talent at Final Battle at some point. And those people are going to be made stars. There's going to be more eyes on this pay-per-view because you're giving it away for free and all these people are going to be on it. And now none of these fucking names are going to be on it. So you just wasted months of programming for no reason. What are we doing? Why didn't you have Dalton Castle beat him 4 months ago then? This is so ungodly stupid. It's an insult to the TV title. It just means nothing now. Samoa Joe just came out there and said, I've been the most successful champion, but I don't actually give a fuck because who needs this title? Just saying it's a fucking prop belt. And on top of that, my second favorite angle that was rebuilt on the show was CSJ and Samoa Joe, TV champion versus TV champion, and they never paid it off while both of those guys still held the title. That was the one story they built out on top of the Stu Grayson righteous story with the Dark Order. And where the fuck is Stu Grayson now? Everything that they've invested into ROH has come to shit. This makes no sense. No sense. And I get that you want Samoa Joe to look strong against MJF. You don't give a fuck about Ring of Honor. You've made that very, very apparent. Just have him lose. Have him lose by a schmoz with Shane Taylor sitting right there. This is so stupid and insulting to fans who are paying the most that any wrestling subscription service charges you for absolutely no fucking reason because all of your title defenses are on free TV anyway. This is so dumb. It is a waste of ROH time, talent, and fans' money. I don't know why, other than people who are getting paid to review the show, anybody would bother to tune in. This is so stupid. Finn.
So I have one critique on your rant there.
What? And no, I'm just kidding.
You kept going up an octave, and you just stopped at one point and then came back down. Yeah, I wanted you to keep going up.
I'm so upset.
But I will say this: your point's not lost because I think I said the same thing when he was going to fight Shane Taylor at Wembley Stadium. I said, perfect. This is it. Take it off him at Wembley. Shane Taylor deserves that belt, right? We could sort of see what was going on with Shane Taylor Promotions. Maybe not all the way there yet, but you could sort of feel it. Shane Taylor's one of the guys, when you hear his name, you think Ring of Honor. So just put it on him. Didn't happen. I don't disagree. Dalton Castle could have taken it off of him months ago. Would have been fine. Dalton Castle, another guy. You think of Dalton Castle, you think of Ring of Honor. Don't disagree either that it could have been Keith Lee tonight, and it would not have hurt Joe because Keith Lee's another massive fucking human being. So I don't disagree with any of what you said. I just don't understand why, besides maybe the fact that you're going to say, well, now on Ring of Honor television, we're going to be doing a tournament to crown a new TV champion. But you know what my fear of there is? The fact that they're going to put some fucking AEW talent in there who doesn't need it, and then they're going to win it. When it should be a Dalton Castle, Shane Taylor, could be a Keith Lee, even though he's an AEW guy. Could
Ethan
be
Page has been like talking about coming after it, but like then have Ethan Page get made by being Samoa Joe or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Kate, you could even put it on somebody like Rhett Titus, and it would make sense to me because Ring of Honor, right? Like that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. Schlong, you've been champing at the bit to do your Kate thing. What do you think about all this?
So I'm gonna get to talk like this.
You said it like you were in fast forward.
Well, I mean, I couldn't maintain the high pitch for long, so I just had to get there. I'm going to say that what I'm about to say is not defense of anything. I am not going to disagree with what Kate has said.
Tread lightly, Ryan.
But I fully understand. I know fully how they got here. Booked themselves into a fucking corner, and they don't know how to get out of it. At some point, they've realized that having the belt on Joe is not good because he's not on. They don't want him on ROH regularly, and someone might have finally listened and said, "Hey, you need the belts on fucking people who show up for ROH." But because now they have him in this program with MJF, where he's supposed to be, of all the contenders, is coming off as the most serious contender, they can't have him lose this close. They could have had him lose months ago. Wouldn't have fucking mattered. Beating him still would have been worth something, but it wouldn't have affected him versus affected his shot against MJF. But because they realized all this at the same exact fucking time, that they need to get the belt off him, and he can't lose because they want him to go against MJF. They timed this all fucking together. They backed themselves into a corner. And so the only thing they could do was have him drop the belt. Like literally just say, I'm done with it. And I think, you know what bothers me is I know MJF is like the good guy right now, but he's still our scumbag. He could have, there is a way he could have pulled this off. And I'm not saying it would have been any better, but it would at least had a step out better, where he could have said to Joe, you lost to me. I'm not giving you a rematch. And then Joe keeps pestering him and goes, you know what? I'll give you a rematch, but you got to give up your belt.
You
And
could have just had the Devils come down and interfere.
You could have done a million, but I'm just saying, at least then, or like you guys said, have Joe lose in the schmaz finish that has ever fucking existed, where there's 10 people attacking him the entire time. And
but if he's in a match with Keith Lee and Shane Taylor comes down, it's like the only two guys that you would buy could outmass Samoa Joe. You know what I mean?
And Serpentico.
And Serpentico, obviously, but I thought that might be overkill on the heavies. But like they had a tag team. They're both enormous. They're like the only two people that you could have kind of gang up on Joe and it actually work or mean something. Like, it's just maddening. 500 days or whatever of equity for no fucking reason is just inexcusable.
However, I'm going to say something.
Okay.
To try to cheer Miss Kate up. While you are sad now, well, more mad than sad, the belt, in theory, now I could be wrong, but let's be optimistic. The belt will wind up on someone who is not regularly featured on AEW, but who is regularly featured on ROH, and now will be part of the program regularly and help develop somebody else's character. So it might be something that improves your weekly watch.
Fucking will it? Because I have no faith in them with ROH at this point.
Well, I'd like to be fucking optimistic for you.
I mean, why should I? Like, they've given me no evidence.
As I told you to.
Eddie Kingston's been there once. Everybody was like, oh my God, Eddie Kingston won. He's been there once. He'll be there twice after this week.
Well, I can even say this. Pieces in the chat says, just have a multi-man match where Joe doesn't get pinned. Right? That makes sense to lose a title. Kyle K. Sparks, our buddy, says, last week I was fantasy booking a four-corner survival for the title at Final Battle. Joe versus Castle versus Taylor versus Nice. You get the title off Joe, he doesn't need to be pinned. Easy. Yeah, in that scenario, Kyle K. Sparks, Tony Nice eats that pin 100%. He does his job, and that's it. Joe, we haven't heard anything from you. You've been awful quiet. You haven't been giving up, whether you're happy, sad, anything like that. What do you think about the TV title and the drop here?
I think we as wrestling fans only have one ask of promotions, right? And it's make it make sense. And nothing about this makes sense. And the vacating of the title belt, I mean, that was the cherry on top of how they've treated the ROH titles. The fact they do it on an AEW Dynamite show, even better. You know, like, I mean, it's how they treat the belts. And I don't understand the argument of Joe being hungry and wanting the championship belt, but yeah, I'm going to drop this one. Like, wouldn't you want all the belts then? Wouldn't you want as many championships as possible? I was worried when he started the program match that it was going to lessen or take away from the TV title for a while. I did not envision him just giving up the title, because especially him with his ROH history of like we've noted here in this discussion of how much of a slap in the face to the history of the promotion that is. So right now, I think ROH to me feels like, we always talk about ECW and then WWE ECW, right? And
That's
how
right.
The
WWE,
greatest
ECW
handoff of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That is
there's
like,
a textbook example right there. You raise a very good point, Joe.
That's what it feels like to me. It feels like, the best era of ECW was WWE ECW, right? And then you have ECW. And so, I feel like we have AEW ROH and we have ROH.
Yeah. You have Christian right there. He knows exactly what to do. He was on both.
It's true. He does know what.
And a couple of things. I want to address a comment by Benny Sabak. First of all, he says Devil's Avocado, which legitimately made me laugh.
That rules.
And his comment about making Joe strong, vacate the title so that he's strong for the main event. And that's what they're doing, but we've just named there's like 7 other ways you could do that. That still puts someone else over.
Yeah, because they're going to end up getting to the same spot that they could have got to without all this malarkey.
Yeah.
Malarkey's a good one.
Well, either way, it's not a great look for the TV title for Ring of Honor. And, we'll have to see if they could somehow bring any prestige back to it after building all of this equity in the title and a champion for them just to drop it randomly after a defense where he fucking choked out Keith Lee. Yeah, I don't know where they go from here.
They have told me I shouldn't care. Like, they just actively told me I shouldn't care.
No.
And it hurts my feelings.
So, moving on from this, so we can get through the rest of this. Orange Cassidy cuts a promo. He says that if Moxley must have lost his mind if he thinks he doesn't respect him because he's the only thing on his mind since Mox left him laying in a pool of his own blood. And he's not sorry for getting that title back, but holding it doesn't feel the same because he needs to beat him in order to be the international championship he knows he is. So again, we're just building to this title at Full Gear. I think it's exactly what we all thought it was, right? Like, this story won't be complete until Orange Cassidy winds up defeating Jon Moxley. So at this point in time, it's pretty much just Orange Cassidy saying, hey, it ain't over till I beat you. And that's fine. We'll get a rebuttal from Moxley shortly, so we won't need to really... I don't think we need to dig into this at the moment. We can when we get to Mox. We move on to the Ass Boys. I'm sorry. The Guns. Austin and Colton versus the Bollywood Boys. And it is a straight up squash. Pinfall with the 310 to Yuma gets the win for the Ass Boys. But post-match, Juice and Cardblade join the Ass Boys in the ring to cut a promo. And Colton says MJF has been lying to people about being a generational talent when it's them who've walked right into TV and become tag team champions. And then Austin says MJF is an embarrassment as a champion. And the only friends he has that he has left are on the other side of the guardrail. And he hopes he picks one of these fat pieces of shit for his partner at Full Gear so they can hit the 310 to Yuma on them. And that's it. Bang, bang, guns up. And then we see Samoa Joe approaching Friedman backstage as he's watching. And MJF just sort of moves on. Doesn't want to have any part of that. So we still don't know who the tag partner is going to be for MJF. Is it going to be Samoa Joe? Samoa Joe just dropped his title, so he's got a lot of free time on his hands. Don't know. But we also go into a Jon Moxley promo. Let me get through this, and then you guys can add anything you want to add, okay? So Moxley and Yuta are backstage cutting their promo. Moxley says he's been getting calls all week to let Orange off the hook. But he says that Cassidy knew exactly what he was doing. And this isn't about a belt. It's about the laws of nature. This place is like a jungle. And what kind of example is he setting? What kind of example is Moxley setting for young Wheeler if he doesn't beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy? Actually, I think he said piss. Anyway, what kind of example is he for setting? Is he setting for Hook? HR will step in and save him? Well, he doesn't even deserve to get to Full Gear. So the minute that they land at LAX, it's on. Gang warfare. him and whoever he wants to bring. And John tells Hook to take notes if his fingers still work. And then Yuta, in his impish voice, calls Hook out and says that he's crossed the wrong crew. They'll see him in Cali. We go to break. Also, I don't know why, guys, unless maybe I'm just out on something. I don't know why Yuta gave the throat slit symbol to the middle of his face. If that's a Blackpool Combat Club thing, or if he just doesn't know how that symbol works. You know, for those not watching, throat slit usually is across the throat. You know, like I'm doing here, throat. You can't see because my beard, but that's my throat. And
One
then
theory.
Yuta does it like at his nose and cheek.
He's just trying to clean up his mustache.
Oh,
Maybe he has the same issue Ryan has with the osteopenis sign, which it's just not computing.
Nailed it.
Yuta, get my boy Yuta.
Could be it.
He's from Philadelphia, close enough to you, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
It
Some
could be.
on the water there.
Love it, Joe. I love it.
Could be
Near Ryan's hometown. Something's in the water.
right. Something's in the water near his hometown, right where he gets his hoagies.
You guys are so fucking lucky. I can't virtually punch you guys.
You could try.
In person, you wouldn't punch me, so it doesn't matter.
And I would knock you out so quickly because you wouldn't even be looking.
Kate, you remember that within the next 2 years that we see Ryan at a live event, just remember they said that, so that when
Well,
I
we're
do,
at the
But
2300
remember-
arena in 2025. I'll remind you.
that's right. That's right.
But remember, Kate, the trick is he won't be looking when I throw the punch.
I mean, that's cowardly.
Dirty.
Yes,
just
I
dirty.
never claimed to be heroic.
I'm not asking you to be heroic. We're just asking you to be honorable.
Have some honor.
No,
Sportsman.
Honor's dead. Look at Ring of Honor. It's dead.
I know that's right.
Joe, you were the first one to chat here about the whole throat cutting thing. So anything you'd like to mention about any of the promos that we had happen here between these breaks?
The only one I had to mention was the guns, and they're setting up the ROH tag match. My dream was still to have Danhausen fill that position for MJF.
Mm-hmm.
A Danhausen that was promoted to be on the show tonight on Rampage, but wasn't. But yeah, that's why I wanted instead of Samoa Joe. But and it made sense with him and the guns. But that's all I had for these segments. And I liked Orange Cassidy, I guess. His serious tone and taking off the glasses and staring into the camera is something that I don't think we've gotten, or if we have, very small amounts of it. So
yeah,
I like that evolution of his character.
I will say this: Hook also had on some sunglasses. I said to Mrs. Money, wouldn't it have been great if Hook had on those like late 90s, early aughts, like ska sunglasses, the ones where the frames were the checkerboard print? Would have just been fantastic. Ryan, anything you'd like to add about the guns or Cassidy and Moxley? No.
I mean, I like the fire from Orange Cassidy. Guns up, bang, bang, bangity, bang, bang. That's about it.
Bang, bang, bangity, bang, bang.
Bangity, bang. That's it.
I thought Orange Cassidy's in-ring on the promo was great. More serious Orange Cassidy promos, please. He knocked the one right before his title loss with Mox out of the park too, where he was like, you've been the guy to pick us up as a company every time we've been down, and I'm going to make it so you don't have to be that guy anymore right after everything with Punk happened. So I would like more of those. MJF's going to defend the ROH tag titles alone, and I'm going to lose my fucking mind on here again, and it's going to be bad. And I also don't love him like gutting. Well, I guess Jay White pinned him last week, so it's not like he's gutting the entire stable. But it would sure be gutting all of ROH, wouldn't it? But yeah, I'm excited for Orange Cassidy and Moxley too, because their first match was so great. I love the fired up Orange Cassidy. Don't do it too much, but more often than this, I think is a good way to go. Still pick your spots with it, but Good shit. And while we're at it, we should just, speaking of Hook, like, let's just give him the ROH 6-man titles, right? Why not? Let's give him alone the ROH 6-man titles. This is great.
I mean, the only person who could really pull that off would have been Marco Stunt, but Hook might be able to do it.
Close second.
So when they get back from commercial, Wardlow's cutting a promo about potential being wasted and he's felt worthless, all because of MJF. So another reminder, there is somebody else lurking around for MJF to worry about. So we'll see what happens with Wardlow. But we go on to our women's match of the night, Julia Hart versus a returning Red Velvet. I'm going to just say this, maybe a hot take, maybe not. I don't like the apron that she came out with. Thought it was a little corny, a little too on the nose.
How dare you talk about future ROH tag champion Red Velvet like that?
Well, you know, I just didn't like the look. Anyway,
You know what? No. You're trying to stir it up.
Huh? Yeah.
Okay, Julia Hart versus Red Velvet. Julia Hart does win by pinfall with the moonsault. And then post-match, Julia locks Heartless on Red Velvet to send a message of some sort, but Sky Blue comes down to make the save. They square up, Hart's looking her over, and then Chris Statlander and Willow come down, and Chris steps in front of Sky Blue. Blue circles around her, and you know, Hart leaves while Willow's trying to help Red Velvet. So all this stuff's going on. Now, I should mention here too that Mrs. Money said something that I also said. She beat me to it, but we were thinking the same thing. How is it possible? I thought Sky Blue looked a little frumpy tonight. Like, I didn't think her outfit did any help for her, but I also still don't understand. So that's one thing. I thought some of the outfits these ladies picked tonight looked a little frumpy. Didn't help their face.
You're a little Joan Rivers over here.
You know what?
Very critical of the fashion.
No problem with that. I'm a fashion icon myself, and Joan Rivers knew what she was talking about with fashion.
Indisputable that you're a fashion icon. Look at that chain.
I mean, chain gang. Bang, bang. But I will say this. I still don't understand what is going on with this new Sky Blue, only because is she supposed to be a heel? Is she supposed to be a face? If she's not going to be a heel and she's just more serious, why is she ripping off Julia Hart's, like, you know, makeup and stuff like I just don't understand what's going on. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why are we doing this? Kate, you're shaking your head. What do you think? Well, like, what the fuck is going on?
It felt like Julia Hart was corrupting Sky Blue, and then Sky Blue came out with her own mist and, like, still seems on the side of good. I also thought it was funny with the mist spot that she accidentally hit, like, the wrong part of her body when she tried to mist her. But
yeah, she hit her right in the chest.
She did hit her right in the chest. But I'm guessing she's still, they were like teasing a turn, so I'm guessing she's still on the side of good with Willow, that she hasn't been totally corrupted. Which would be cool if Julia Hart, like, also got a tag person, but Collision made it feel like they might be setting up for a triple threat with, like, Willow and Chris and Sky, which I wouldn't hate. I'm sorry, with Julia and Willow and why can't do I know things? Chris, thank you. So we'll see how this plays out. But I don't know. It felt like they were headed in one direction with her, and now that it feels like they're heading in a different direction with her. It's weird to have Mist but not be on the side of evil. Like, good person. Mist is weird. She's a good witch, I guess.
Well, you know, it happens. Side note, I just don't understand. Benny Seabach, what is with dudes in Sky Blue? I don't understand the question. If you can clarify in the chat, we'll answer.
I actually do have the answer. That ass.
I have no problem with Sky Blue. I thought her outfit choice tonight was weird. Like, she just didn't. I don't know. I can't explain it. It didn't help her out.
Weirder than wearing Scooby-Doo outfits?
No, that's just an odd choice. When you're supposed to be a
Where
heel
are
and you're
you?
wearing Scooby-Doo, seems to be a face.
Well, for spooky season, it made sense.
No, if you're supposed to be a heel, do the heel things. Don't.
But was she a heel? It was a mystery.
Oh,
Huh?
puns are the lowest form of comedy. We've been over this time and time again.
Never claimed I was good at this.
Joe, thoughts on the ladies? By the way, I also thought Red Velvet looks good for a return.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, to play off of that, I thought, she wasn't going to win, but giving this match what felt like a decent amount of time helped her in her return, I think. I like Julia's character's great. Her pop, like the pop she gets when she comes out, I feel like it just allowed her each time, and she does great character work. And to complement the character work, the in-ring style that she works now with this character seems very fitting for her. It's just like kind of it's a little bit slower pace. It's just more methodical. So it all works for me when I watch the presentation of Julia.
Okay. Schlong.
Better not mention the corner strikes.
So those corner strikes were something special.
Ryan!
Come on.
It's my thing!
I'm very happy Red Velvet's back. I think she's actually a big gain for this division that people aren't really thinking about, but she was a decent player before she got hurt, and her style is a lot of fun. She throws herself around. I think Sky Blue is still evil. I think she's fully committed to the evil. I think this is a trick to get Statlander in a match against Hart. And then Sky Blue is going to blue mist Statlander. And that is somehow going to be Statlander's weakness. The blue mist. Like, that will be like the mist that crushes her. Or do they bring down Willow? I don't know. They're bringing down someone. I just haven't figured out how yet. But I think it's blue mist related.
Okay. Well, you've heard it here first. Ryan's in on the blue mist. It's gonna be
The only reason I'm saying that is because it makes no sense to slow roll a middle of the line evil Sky Blue if she doesn't go all the way evil. And if she goes all the way evil, then the natural wrestling story is that this is a trick. Like, that's the wrestling story that's been told plenty of times over.
I don't think she should join House of Torture. She's going all the way evil.
Why would she join? I'm done.
Oh, yeah, like you're suddenly so
Exactly.
anti-fun.
When I'm done.
Okay, I think because I'm the in-ring aficionado,
Please.
I feel like Ant and Ryan should reenact the dueling split spot.
The dueling split spot?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think you guys should do it.
My camera doesn't go wide enough.
Okay, well, just next time we're in person in 2025 before Ryan punches you in the back of the head, allegedly.
Oh, that's right.
I think that would be good content for the YouTube, and it would be a nice gift to our 500 subscriber.
We'll see how they feel after their debut.
Yeah.
What else do I have written down about the in-ring specifically? The wheelbarrow bulldog I thought was very good after the lariat, the leg lariat. The standing moonsault from Velvet I thought was very good, and I like that she has a moonsault of her own. That I wrote this iconoclasm thing. That was really good. But I agree. I think Velvet looked really good for her return match. Like, it didn't feel like a lot of ring rust. She, to Ryan's point, even though it really is like on the edge of talking about in-ring, she almost had like a little bit of a Lady Darby Allin thing where she just heaves her entire body at people, but she didn't always feel in control of it in the same way that Darby does. I wouldn't say Darby's like in control, but it feels a little bit more intentional, where Sky Blue or where Red Velvet would sometimes just kind of like it felt like she was very close to injuring herself at times. But she looked really, really good here. And I feel like Julia Hart just seems super over, man. Like, and I like what we're getting out of her. I wouldn't mind similarly if they're looking at transitional reigns in the women's world title picture. I don't think it would be a terrible idea to go like Julia to Willow. That could be a really fun trajectory. And it would put, like, I like when you have cadences in your reigns, right? Like if it goes long Chris Statlander run, I think a short one followed by a long one is a good one. Like, and after this MJF thing, like if it is someone transitional like Samoa Joe, and then say Will Ospreay signs and it's like Ospreay beats Samoa Joe, like I like that. Or if it's Jay White beats Samoa Joe, like somebody that's going to have a longer world title reign. I like cutting up your pacing with these because not everyone needs like a 9-month to a year long reign. So I say capitalize on Julia Hart while she's this hot because you've done a good job building her, and this is the best she's looked in the ring ever.
Yeah, I could get behind a Julia Hart, some sort of Julia Hart reign, even if it's like the TBS title. But you know, she could definitely feel more important. I'm not against that at all. Okay, moving on to one last segment before the main event. RJ City is backstage, and at this point, when you think he's gonna introduce Danhausen, he actually introduces AEW's newest signing, Mariah May. And she says that she has wrestled all over the world. She's excited to be part of the AEW women's division, and she is a big fan of Toni Storm's work. And she came here because of her. She also worked in Stardom in Japan because that's where Toni went. And RJ says, you know, I know Toni Storm. I can introduce her to you next week because she's got a dinner reservation right now. And so Mariah fangirls out. She kisses him on the cheek, and we go to break. So I didn't see this coming. I didn't necessarily I know there were rumors, but I didn't see anything sort of official that she was coming to AEW. But for those again who don't know, Mariah was 95th in this year's PWI Women's 250. So she, you know, she does have some cachet. She is, I think she's called, what was she, the Sexy Dynamite Princess or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Something weird like that, or the Princess of Dynamite, who knows? But she did wrestle in Stardom. You know, we'll see what happens. I think I don't know when she wrestled Julia, right? Pretty recently?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. But Julia's another name that there's a lot of rumors running around that she's coming to the United States, probably with the E. But you never know. You never know.
She got to March.
That's right. We do have time to figure that out. But what do we think about this for the women's division? I want to go to our most critical member of the women's division first. So, Ryan, would you please let us know what you think of Mariah and what it means for the women's division?
Stardom aficionado, Ryan.
That's right.
I am very much a Stardom aficionado. I absolutely knew 100% who she was when she was there. I was like, I nailed it. I didn't need that to be told to me at all. But just saying I did, let's pretend I did, because let's pretend I'm not a Stardom aficionado and really
Devil's avocado, as they said earlier.
Devil's avocado is perfect.
Yeah.
This was actually a great introduction. You got an idea of what her character is going to be. She seemed important because she had her own segment. You couldn't introduce her as like this big reveal of a walkout, because for the less informed, not like me, but the people I'm pretending to be, they'd be like, who is this and why does she matter? So backstage made a lot more sense for her. RJ is a great person to play off of. And this character, and instantly referencing Toni Storm, shows you where, like, tells the fans where they believe she belongs. Because if her first instinct was to name someone, you know, who never shows up on TV, you'd be like, well, then she's a nothing. But the first instinct was Toni Storm, tells you that AEW thinks that she's at that level for their women's division. So I think all this was perfect. And again, for those less informed, I think this is a great introduction.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. I'd like to go to our next, I'd say, most critical, on the women's roster. Joe, how do we feel about Mariah and what she could bring to the roster?
Well, she obviously brings depth to the roster. And I feel like, having her insert herself with the Tony Storm story, I feel like the women's division has, you're either in Group A, which is around the world title picture stuff, most of that storyline, or you're in the Chris Statlander CBS title area where Julia's at and Sky Blue and all them. So it's good that they're, taking a talent like this and putting her up to in the forefront already. Whether or not they execute it perfectly remains to be seen, because I feel like it's hit or miss with them. But I don't know. I'll pass it off to someone who doesn't care much about women's wrestling, but can, throw her 2 cents into it.
Yeah, I mean, Kate, as the least knowledgeable member of this show about the women's division, because you just truly don't watch it. You choose to hit the bathroom, get a drink, maybe some chicken fingers and French fries, something during the women, and you think that they just put out story after story, gold record after gold record with the women's division. I just like the casual, AEW women's roster aficionados take on Mariah.
Well, I didn't even know she was signed until this moment, so you're basically getting a live reaction because I just wasn't really paying any attention. I think it's really cool that they said Mariah Carey. Like this time of year is like where Mariah Carey shines the most, right? Like it makes sense with All I Want for Christmas Is You coming out that they would come in here, sign Mariah Carey. She's got a great look,
Kid, I gotta pause you there. I think you might have misheard. It's Mariah May.
Mariah May. I got nothing.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's just another warm body, I guess, to put into these gold stories.
I'm very excited about this. I don't follow Stardom. That's not like a secret. But I went back and watched some of her stuff when her name started popping up and rumors started circulating, and she's really, really good. So I'm very excited, and I think having her immediately enter with the most over character on the women's roster is a great call if she has the chops to pull that off. That's a really great place for her to sit in on this, and it's at the top of the card too. So it's just they don't normally do that with people they just signed, put them at the top of the card. So that's a cool choice. And it just makes that picture feel a little bit more fresh, get some new faces in there. But I thought the Butterfly album was great. So I look forward to seeing what she has to.
I think
it's a sweet, sweet fantasy that we have.
So I think you're still a little confused, but it's okay. We'll move on. It's okay. But we do get into our main event of the night. Well, please don't. Oh no. Okay.
Just one more night with you.
Okay.
You got the best of me, and I just keep on going back incessantly. Oh, why did you have to take
Now,
it?
Kate.
Ryan, knock it off. Be professional, please.
Kate, I have a question.
Sure.
Does it bother you that he said he didn't want to infringe on your gimmick earlier in the evening, and then he clearly infringes right on your gimmick after you?
No. Singing annoyingly has been my gimmick since I started on this podcast.
And whose gimmick was it before you showed up on the podcast, Ryan?
I don't know. I didn't watch before I showed up.
It's very Christian Cage of you.
That is very Christian Cage of him. Anywho,
that's a live pitch. So,
main event: Mark Briscoe making his return to the ring against Jay White. So sorry, I'm scrolling. Jay White, as we get through this match, does win by pinfall with the Blade Runner. And the post match is really where I'd like to go in on this, because I thought the match was good, but post match is where we see a lot of our stories advance, right? We are clearly leading to 2 matches at the pay-per-view against Bullet Club Gold. MJF's heavily invested. He doesn't have his belt. So post match, MJF's music hits. Bullet Club Gold is in the ring. They're waiting for him to come down the ramp, but he is behind them already in the ring, cleans house with the Dynamite Diamond ring to take out everybody except Jay White. And he holds his ring up, but Jay is able to bail and get away. So MJF tells him he hopes he's had fun playing dress up because playtime is almost over. And he's going to have to get in the ring with him, the real champion, very soon. And when he won that title, when Max won that title, he promised himself he'd go down as the greatest AEW world champion ever or die trying. And that's what he's dealing with. Jay's going to have to kill him to beat him, because he's not just fighting for him anymore. He's fighting for everyone that's been on this journey with him, for Adam Cole, for everyone watching at home and everyone in the arena, because he's our scumbag, damn it. And he does have a question. When he's the only thing standing between Jay White and immortality at Full Gear, will he be the first man to pull the trigger? Because he hasn't been able to do it yet. And then the lights go out. And we see these men in black beating up the Acclaimed backstage. Oh. Kate, don't infringe on... Kate, maybe don't infringe on gimmicks. I'm sorry. Don't infringe on
I
gimmicks.
would never.
I know you wouldn't. But they're beating up the Acclaim backstage. They have Daddy Ass being beat up. They throw Max Caster into one of the doors, and then Bowens gets put through a plate glass window, because every backstage has an office with a giant plate glass window right next to, I don't know, a garage door. Maybe. It just seemed a little out of place to me, but who knows? And then the screen flashes again. We see the man in the devil mask, and it goes black. Back at ringside, MJF is running out through the crowd to check on the Acclaimed, but the assailants are nowhere to be found, and everybody's sort of left laying injured. And Samoa Joe walks up and says, "Looks like he's running out of friends." Chuckles, laughs away, and that's the show. So, clearly a lot going on here. One, I thought the match was good. Good to see Mark Briscoe back. Exciting. Didn't think it was going to go his way, but it is what it is. I liked the promo from Max at the end. Max has been making this feel like a super big deal since they announced it. Like week over week, you think like, how can they sort of continue to make this feel super important? But Max has been doing great with this. The men dressed in black and the devil. Still don't know who the devil's going to be. Maybe that's why we didn't see Danhausen tonight. He was wearing that devil mask. I'm still holding on to it, right? Holding on to it. But what I'm wondering is, clearly Roddy said earlier in the night, if you remember when we talked at the open of Dynamite, Roddy says he's going to show him, you know, that he's, you know, a legend or whatever he said. Could this be the Kingdom and some friends? You know, I mean, I don't know. But clearly the man in the devil's mask is not Max. He didn't beat anybody up. He was in the ring. I mean, sure, it could be pre-taped, but why not? I don't know. I just want to ask you guys one question. Was it real plate glass that they used for that glass spot to just really stick it to Jungle Man Jack Perry? I'm going to go to Joe first on the match and all the antics afterwards. What'd you think?
I liked the match. I thought for all the things that went wrong with Joe vacating the TV title, I thought at least the match between Jay White, who has a nickname, and if you happen to have that around,
he has a nickname.
I've heard people like to call him Switch King.
Switch King.
It's close.
Switcheroo.
Joe, I don't mean to like woman-splain you,
Sure.
but I believe it's actually Switchblade. Jay White.
Okay, that sounds right.
That one feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Feels right.
Yeah, so I thought the match between Switchblade, Jay White, and Mark Briscoe felt like a classic ROH match that we've seen before. As far as all the,
even though, by the way, sorry,
Yeah.
Joe, even though they made sure to mention we haven't seen this before, they have faced each other in tag team action, but this was their first singles, match. I forgot to mention that as we were sort of getting going, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and then as far as after the match, Max does a good job cutting the promo to sell the feud. I felt like I've seen the run-in with him before, during the feud already, when he tried to steal his belt back. He still can't steal his belt back. And then as far as the masked men in black and all that, I find it interesting. You talked about Roddy, but I also find it interesting that Adam Cole pushes for Max to team with Joe so much instead of Roddy. And wouldn't you think Adam would be like, yeah, you should really take up Roddy's offer and team with him instead of Samoa Joe, where I feel like maybe he's wanting Samoa Joe to just throttle MJF, but that's all I got without talking about spots and whatnot.
Okay. No, I hear what you're saying, and it's hard to talk about the match when we're not allowed to talk about spots. But let's give it to Kate. So maybe we can help Ryan out. Kate, any spots in particular you'd like to talk about first?
The Uranagi into the Fisherman's Buster I thought was quite good. The eye rake with the dragon screw on the apron I thought was quite good. A lot of Death Valley drivers on this show just in general. But that with the froggy bow for 2 was good, and the J Driller. What else do I have written down here? Some good sleeper suplex action in this. But overall, I liked how all these moves supported the bigger story of... I just think that Mark Briscoe is maybe like a top 5 hope spot seller. Like, he was not going to win this match, but that crowd was biting at some of those near falls. And Sami Zayn's really good at this too. Like, those two are the two that come to mind of like babyface-ish, like make you, I know this guy's not going to win, but maybe like he's really, 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 really good at that. Maybe he'll be your future ROH TV title holder. Certainly not going to need to beat anybody for it. Probably just win a tournament. But the match was really, really good. This episode felt like they really got back to their formula of banger matches that support longer term stories. And that's all I want from AEW. Like, just stick to that formula. It works. Post-match stuff was fine. This was good. Robinson calling for the Kiwi Crusher, and this was really good. And if anybody wants to fill in with any inferior spots than the ones that I called out, feel free to. The floor is yours, guys.
Ryan, first dibs at inferior spots.
I thought the eye rake into the dragon suplex was a really good move.
I already said it, and it was a dragon screw.
Whatever. I wasn't listening. I'm not gonna speak on any inferior spots. This was a good match. I just want to say that. Oh, thank God she's gone. I'm not gonna say it. Mama always said, "Let's shift something I said. Don't say anything." But I like how they built Jay White into like main event. You know, when he came in, he kind of dashed around for a little bit. Now it's so clear he belongs in the main event picture. I just really appreciate them doing that. And I'm actually very into this Devil storyline. I'm very curious on who it is. And I just hit myself in the nose with my microphone.
I saw it. I wasn't going to say it, but you did.
And I put it back in.
Joe, would you like to mention any inferior spots?
I would not.
Okay. Just wanted to give you the option since you had to go
Wise.
first. But so gang, that was Dynamite. I agree. It was a good episode. Kate, hands up. Yes.
And out of the box suggestion on who the devil might be, Richard Holiday is a free agent, and Alex Hammerstone has been advocating for his release from MLW. Just throwing it out there as an out of the box possibility. I don't think it's him, but like a Dynasty reunion tour would be fun. I don't think they would do it without Hammerstone actually being released. But also shout out to Luis, who's our wonderful moderator at Fightful, saying that Juice Robinson shouting, "Do it for Gato," while White was at the Kiwi Crusher. Very good call. That was hysterical. I appreciate it.
I want to say one thing to Kate's out of the box suggestion. I actually like that, except I think that would be the better way overall. But there's no way they highlight this angle this much with those being your reveal, unless the devil is some like Holiday and Hammerstone are two pieces, and the devil is someone bigger, because the devil's really all that anyone cares about. He went down to Georgia.
Gordon Post is saying Jack Perry.
I hate that idea.
But
I don't think he can pull that off.
I don't think so either, but he's somebody who's out there that we haven't seen. So it's
true.
possible. But
No.
Well, either way, a fun episode of Dynamite. Only a couple things to note here as far as news and notes go. On November 3rd, it was noted that Sammy Guevara is still not cleared. Now, that was as of the 3rd. I haven't seen anything else saying he's cleared yet, but who knows? So he hasn't been specified as a part of this street fight just yet, but we will see. So yeah, no Sammy at the moment, but that could change. And the last piece of news that I have is...
Sorry, was that Sammy Guevara you were talking about?
Oh, sorry. It's been so long since we've had him on TV and everything. Yeah, you're right. It would be
Sammy Guevara.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the last piece of news, Kate, there's been a lot of people out there who were wondering if Danielson would actually be able to make it to Wrestle Kingdom. That's like one of his things he wants to do. Well, the good news is that it became official as of November 6th that at Wrestle Kingdom 18th, January 4th, 2024, Okada versus Danielson is scheduled to happen.
Put him in the Zorb Ball right now. So I don't have any matches until then.
Yes. We can certainly keep an eye out for that. The other thing to note is that right now the card reads Sonata versus Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Yep. Danielson versus Okada. Yep. Will Ospreay versus John Moxley versus Finlay for a TBA title that will replace the IWGP US/UK title.
Bring back the IC.
Sign me up for that match too. Takahashi, versus El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Yep. And the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney versus Catch 22, TJP and Francesco Akira for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. That should also rule. So that card right now looks very good.
Yeah, it does. I think we're gonna get Tana versus ZSJ for the TV title too. Let's go.
It would make sense to put on that card.
Yes.
And then from Garland, Texas, the Curtis Colwell Center, streaming on Fight at 8 p.m. on Friday, is the Lone Star Shootout. We're going to get Eddie Kingston versus Satoshi Kojima for the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship. Mayu Iwatani versus Stephanie Vacker for the IWGP Women's title. Shingo Takagi versus Trent Beretta for the Never Openweight Championship. ZSJ versus Mike Bailey for the NJPW World Television title. El Phantasmo and Hikuleo versus West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs for the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship. Mystico versus TJP. Toru Yano versus Joey Janela. John Moxley and Wheeler. I know that's a weird one. John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus Finlay and Kenta. Tamatanga, Tangaloa, Kushida, and Kevin Knight versus Bullet Club. That's Chase Owens, Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, and Alex Coughlin. And two more. Sorry, Atlantis, Tiger Mask, and Mascara Dorada versus Ultimo Guerrero, Rocky Romero, and Hechiro. And then Fred Rosser versus Tom Lawler.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard hitting match. I'm going to do a delayed watch along if anybody wants to join me on Saturday for that, because Friday I have the SmackDown review. So Saturday after Collision, if anybody on this stream wants to join, feel free to join me for that. But that card, I'm like satiating for. Kojima versus Eddie is going to be so good. The women's match, ZSJ Speedball, Filthy Tom versus Fred Rosser, like just loaded and very cool for like a secondary brand. Because secondary brands deserve not to get treated like shit for no reason.
That will be a great that card is great. I'll be out of town, so unfortunately I can't. But that will be a lot of fun. So normally we don't do a whole lot of New Japan stuff here, but there's so much AEW talent on that card that might interest some of you out there. So definitely check it out. But that's it. That is all I have for news and notes. So let's hit the plugs. Ryan, what are you plugging?
Usually like a leak or a hole in something.
Yeah, in your ass.
Plugging a hole in your butt.
And his mouth if he's lucky.
We're lucky.
That's a good night. You can follow us and also follow me on our social at MarkOrderPod on Twitter. And you can follow my non-revisionist history blog, hereforhistory.com or _@hereforhistory at Twitter. Ant has not read it, so he couldn't actually tell you. He has decidedly declared he does not like history. He has actually said that.
It's true.
I prefer herstory.
My man.
And Ryan, what's probably throwing people off is you have it titled here for quote history. Like that's the problem.
There's no quotes.
I don't know what I'm reading then. Asian Joe, what are you plugging?
Find me on socials at _Asian Joe. In my link in my bios, you can find a link to my cereal review blog where I try out all the novelty cereals out there so you don't have to.
Joe, did you try I don't know because I haven't looked in a while. Did you the new Monster cereal, not the mash, the like caramel apple one?
No, not by itself. It was in the remix version I tried.
I did get a box of that one. It's mid at best.
Oh, should have read the review.
He didn't do just that one. He did the mix, the remix.
Should have waited.
You know what? I don't need that shit. No. You know what? I'm going to do my own review of it. So there. It's mid. Done. Period. That's it. Kate, what are you plugging? Besides Ryan.
I am Fightful Select on Mondays with the Sour Grabs Raw review. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays on the Fightful main channel. Doing your NXT whatever's left of ROH post show. Somebody banned the fucking dork in the chat. And the SmackDown post shows. Wednesdays right here at the Mark Order, wherever I can be. And Thursdays, I also do This Week in Wrestling on my own at Miss Kate Fabe YouTube channel. So go check that out there. We have fun.
Man, we banned him too quick. I wanted him to explain why he thinks it sucks.
I don't understand why you would go to a post show of a
He doesn't
band.
actually have that opinion.
Well, that's probably that.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the explanation. Also, Shark Boy. Okay. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me on X at AntMoney, on Instagram at AntMoney247. But the most important thing to do is follow the Mark Order podcast on all our socials at Mark Order Pod, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It helps us out greatly. It doesn't take a lot of time. So if you could just hit that follow, that helps us out greatly on social. The other thing that we're asking people to do is to go subscribe to our YouTube. So head on over to our YouTube. If you go to any of our social profiles, hit the link tree. There's a link to our YouTube page. Head on over there, subscribe. It's a lot of fun on Wednesday nights when everybody's in the chat chatting along. So thank you everybody who's been watching along live tonight. Of course, the one, the only Jesse Ozak. 1LT photo pieces. I saw Luis here checking in. Gordon Post. Tommy over on Facebook was checking us out. Sloanamite, I think, was in here before for a hot minute. Kyle K. Sparks. SJ was here early on. The list goes on and on. Greg Cherry was also in here checking us out. I don't understand what he meant by his backhanded compliment. Like, I like you guys, even Ant. What did I do to Greg Cherry?
I don't know. He's a pill.
You weren't reading his comments.
I mean, I can't read all the comments. They come fast and furious.
Sure.
He just,
I think at one point, weren't we all going to try to go on Greg Cherry's show and do some sort of game? Was that Greg Cherry?
That was.
We just never have time.
Now he circled back about doing it in January. We can talk about that off air, though.
My goodness. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it anymore with comments like that. Anyway, it's fun to have everybody chatting along. If you're listening to us in podcast form, we greatly appreciate you too. If you are listening in podcast form, make sure that you subscribe, like, rate, review. That helps us out in the podcast too. But really, if you could do anything to support us in the smallest way, just subscribe on YouTube. If you know anybody who's into AEW and wants to hear us talk honestly about it and have fun at the same time, send us their way and turn them on to the show, because we're trying to build our audience. If you would like to support us with some of your hard-earned dollars, go to that link tree and hit the button to our Pro Wrestling Tees store. You can find the link there. You can go to prowrestlingtees.com/markorderpod, or just search for the Mark Order podcast on Pro Wrestling Tees. Our store will pop up. We have 4 shirt designs, 2 front prints, 2 front and back prints. And any of the money you spend there comes back to help us fund the wonderful show that you're listening to right now. This show is made possible, all in part, from viewers like you. So thank you. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun having a full house tonight. Always enjoy it when we have a full house.
You're such a DJ.
What?
You're such a DJ.
Atlanta.
Oh, my Atlanta.
Full house.
Well, it's fun hanging out. Sorry, guys. I just like to say I like when we're all here. So sorry.
You should be.
But it is most professional when it's just me and Joe. I'm just gonna say it. I have to, right, Joe? Like, come on, we got to be real. Boom. That's my guy. Chain gang. See you, Kate. Boom. Well, it's been fun. We're gonna be back next week. Here. Oh, good. Oh, Joe. Now this feels right. This. Wait a minute. Hold on. But I know we're trying to get out of here. Hold on. Wait. There it goes. Okay. Oh man.
That
I had
was
to come back after that
professional.
failure, yeah.
What am I, a fucking mime? I don't know where anybody is.
I was waiting for you
We
to
were reenacting,
in.
how Ryan's going to punch Ant in the head.
Yeah, hold on. I don't know where I'm going.
If Ryan throws punches like he just did, you're fine.
Okay. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening tonight. We'll be back next week at our normal time, Wednesday nights after Dynamite, here on the Shining Wizards Network. This has been the Mark Order Podcast. See you later. I'm trying to find the right buttons and I can never find them because I'm doing it the old way. Bye, guys.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.